What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of LWO Radio. I am your host, Holla, and tonight we have an exciting episode for you guys. That's right. We are talking about, if you hadn't guessed it by my garb, the legends of basketball. Going to be exciting. As you know, got the best co-host in the business. That's right. Scotty Too Hottie joining us live from the broadcasting studio in Langford, British Columbia. Scotty, how are you doing tonight?
Holla, I'm great. How is the weather in Colwood right now?
It's cloudy with a chance of meatballs. Thanks you for asking.
Yeah. Okay. No problem, man. I'm just looking out for you. It's hot here. It's sweaty undercarriage.
How, you've got the bedroom studio. It's been open for 3 episodes now. How's it vibing in there?
It's good unless you get the residual feedback from my wife's farts when she's trying to sleep over there. I tried to get her to shut up, but I mean, it is what it is. It's like Shrek.
My cue card was, before you said about the farts, was going to be, what does it smell like? But now that's creepy. So I'm going to assume it smells badly.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining me, Scotty. Welcome to the show again. We had a big episode last week. A number of great reviews came in. Wanted to cover them. But before I do, big thanks to the Nessmans for providing microphone. And we got some exciting Nessmans content coming up later. So make sure you pay attention. Legends. Last week, like I said, great show about Bays and Williams Lake. A couple reviews here for you. The Champ wrote us in. Excellent episode, Legends. Stanch's history from the grab bag was enthralling. Lebsy and the Marathon of Dreams. Iron Horse was just spectacular. I would not call it spectacular, but you are the champ, so I'm not going to argue with you. As usual, Holla and Scotty Legendary. Thank you, champ. I hope you're tuning in tonight. We got another great episode for you. The Beer Badger. Again, I hope you're tuning in. Thoroughly enjoy LWO Radio. Short but sweet. Thank you, Beer Badger, Honey Badger. Hope you're well, my friend. And finally, a big star did tune in last week. I feel like the comments made on last week's episode made light of the latter years of my career. Bash at the Beach was an important milestone as I reinvented myself as Hollywood Hogan. And that's from Hulk Hogan, the Hulkamaniac himself. So thanks for listening, Hulk. And, we can't always be responsible for the comments of our listeners, but, good point about Bash at the Beach. Collectively, as you guys know, LWO Radio has had 3 episodes. They topped 800 views today collectively, which is amazing. So after tonight, I'm assuming 820. It'll be a new record for LWO Radio. Every day is a new beginning, and an exciting episode that we have ahead. Now, one quick thing. Make sure that you've hit the like button down below. It's a little thumbs up. And if you want to listen to the Nessmans, also we've linked them down below. Don't give a thumbs down though. You've all subscribed, so I don't need to remind you of that. So as we do, let's introduce some guests. And in order to do that, again, we are going to the tech. That's right, folks. We've got something very, very special here. You've likely seen it, but this is an excuse to run it again. Everybody, watch this. Oh, wow. Amazing stuff.
Oh,
The legends of hockey have joined us. I was completely lying and drunk when I said this was the Legends of Basketball episode. Plus, I didn't have a hockey jersey, so this seems to work. Shout out again to the 76ers. Guys, that's right. We've got some of the greats from the Legends of Hockey. I'm talking about three of the most offensive players, but the nicest human beings you will ever see on LWO radio. I'm going to go first to the man who is the executive producer of LWO radio, the man with a plan. I'm talking to you about T-Money. T-Money, how are you tonight?
Doing well, Holla, doing well. 2 children wide awake behind me. So when you hear one or both of them through this episode, just enjoy that. But thrilled to be back. Looking forward to kicking it with Koski and Britchy and the two of you fine gentlemen.
Back, of course, on screen from episode 1. But of course, you've been working tirelessly behind the scene, lining up guests, getting questions ready, doing the research. Really appreciate everything that you've been doing for LWO Radio, T-Money. And let's hope for your sake there's no child noises that is a ticking time bomb in the background. Thanks for coming back.
I'll just work through it. I'm just going to enjoy myself. Tomorrow is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is tomorrow. Wise words from a wise man. Next up, we've got one of the founding members of the Nestmans. Of course, they provide the theme song to LWO Radio, Microphone, a man who's joining us all the way from Canoe, the rock star, the hockey player, the champ. Nope, not the champ.
No.
The Koski. Koski, how are you, my friend?
Very good, Holla. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I couldn't be in a better place than I could be right now. I got 2 kids crying in the background, and I'd rather be with you boys than chilling with them, I'll be honest.
Kid-free Friday is a thing, you know.
Kid-free Friday, that's how
Kid-free Friday. I love it. And how are things up in the beautiful Canoe?
Canoe was sunny and shiny today. It was launched the boat today. Saved a couple drunk kayakers. It was a busy day, but a good one.
Koski, if you play your cards right, you could save some drunk podcasters tonight with some excellent stories. That was not planned. That was not planned.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got a guest joining us all the way from the beautiful Vancouver. We're talking about a guy whose Christian Mingle profile is only enhanced by that mustache. The one, the only, 1-2. I'm talking about Britchy. How are you, Britchy?
I'm good, boys. I'm good. Thrilled to be here. A little bit rattled that Koski keeps referring to me as a goddamn kayaker, but whatever. It's fine. I'm over it.
All right.
I'm over it.
You can you tell us about that mustache, please? Because it is as much as I look at it, I think, that is something that would attract COVID-19. I have a feeling that people are staying away from you. Can you
this is true. We started the quarantine and I started going with it, and we had a family picture session, and my ex was gracious enough. We're going to have the whole crew, and she suggested that I would have to get rid of the mustache. And my lovely 7-year-old, I said, this is kind of had this for quarantine. She said, yeah, you know what? Mom is not the boss of you. She can't tell you what to do anymore. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it for the kids. I'm doing it for the kids, Holla.
For the children.
So yeah, creep out for the children.
I love it. I love it. You're looking good. Amazing debut for Koski and Britchy tonight, and pretty exciting episode. Now, before we get into a pretty exciting moment in LWO radio, I do want to shout out all of the boys in the chat tonight, LWO legends through and through. Probably one of my favorite things this week is that Coolio was the first one in the chat. Well, hey, Coolio, you're gonna be hungover tomorrow again. Of course, we've got Mac Daddy in there. Mac Daddy, thank you for joining us. I hope that the flower
Better than the actual moment
is refreshing. We got Luke. Thank you for joining us, Luke. And of course, we read his review. Honey Badger giving us the sweet thumbs up to you, Honey Badger. Hope you are well. We've got Brian Major in the chat. He's shouting out the other people in the chat, which is probably a new first in LWO radio history. Who else we got in there? Ryder Patch, thank you for joining us. Another legend of hockey himself. Look at all that talent. It takes talent to recognize talent. That is a fact. Champ is in there. What is going on, Champ? Still hopefully sitting down to pee. I hope you have not been peer pressured into changing all of your habits. Doctor, you too, I'm sure, are looking good in Calgary, my friend. Monty, wow, we're getting a lot of good compliments tonight. It must be the Allen Iverson jersey, or possibly the shades, or possibly, is that Scotty? Okay, so let's break this down right now. Scotty, let's talk about that jersey. What jersey are you wearing tonight before we get into it?
This is my Vancouver Grizzlies first ever alternate jersey they wore. It's really hideous and everything. It's tough to see, but it's a number 3 Sharif Abdur-Rahim jersey. Very popular with some of the lads that know it as my goalie jersey from the Dukes FC days in Comox.
Abdur-Rahim. I love it. I can hear Sam Yeager singing that in my head right now.
Yeah. So anyway, I got the memo that this was the Legends of Basketball thing, and I asked no questions at all about it because you're in charge. And now here we are. And it's weird because I don't remember on Wednesday when we were all talking, and I see Troy and Koski and Britchy, and I'm thinking they don't look like fucking basketball players. But hey,
well, you know, the thing with the Legends of Basketball is we've got the legendary story about Spilly and the Ramettes.
Fair.
And we've also got the legendary story about how Mac was almost drafted in the NBA draft. So there's a lot of content there. I feel like I understand why I was duped, if you will.
I was duped as well.
Yeah, we were duped.
But that was 3 hours of curls that were not wasted, though, Scotty.
Gun show. Well, first live gun show on LWO radio. A couple more legends I do want to shout out before we get into it. Bremner, nice to see you out there, my friend. Stanch, who else we got in there? I'm sure we've got some. Oh, look at this guy. Look at Dave Bartman.
Bartman.
He could be in my top 17 anytime.
Mike Perry, I understand the pool has been cold and the drinks have also been cold. Nice work. I don't want to miss anybody. Pebbles got upset, even though he didn't type in the chat last year. I think we got it. I think we got everyone for now. Of course, we will be shouting you out throughout the episode, guys. Really appreciate you getting involved tonight. Get involved in the chat. Participate along with all of the great stories that we've got for you guys. And it's going to be a fun show. Now, here's the thing. LWO Radio has been a publication, a broadcast of firsts. And you'll recall in the first episode, we did our very first live stuntman. T-Money and Mac Daddy just killed it. You can see the guys are stretching. They know what's coming. The second episode, first time we knew that Champ was a sit-down peer. Different type of first, but all good. Last week, we did Grab Bag for the first time.
Leb still hasn't finished his beer.
We've got another epic first. In fact, we've got two. Of course, I mentioned it last week. We've got a worldwide debut of a new Nessman song later with Koski. We're really looking forward to that. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. But before we get to that, our Legends of Hockey, the Legends of Hockey have thrown it down and have challenged next week's guests to a boat race. So here's how it's going to break down. You guys know what a boat race is. You know how it works. We're going to do the relay. I am going to be in the neutral, but as you know, when you do a boat race, let me just crack a beer here. When you do a boat race, you chug a beer. Scotty, you've got the calm while I do this.
Nice. Seems appropriate.
Well done, Holla.
Yeah, that looks solid.
Why didn't we cut me from the team and put Holla on the team?
Yeah.
Because
The
he's
can is definitely slow, gentlemen.
Oh,
I
the
can
demonstration.
verify. And
Really good,
it
actually.
helps if you don't fart. Anyways, you get the idea of the boat race. Because I'm not actually technically in it, I just wanted to demo my skills and get the street cred with the boys in the chat. So basically, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to Mississippi count it for all of you boys. I think we are going to Britchy to start it, then T-Money, Koski, you're going to be third from last, and Scotty's going to participate. He's going to be the anchor. And then next week, when we have our guests on, and T-Money, I believe it's Perry Adam
And Ryan Glanville.
Sheesh.
They have accepted the challenge, boys. They've accepted the challenge. So they will go next week and we'll see who wins. But no matter what, Legends, the Legends of Hockey will hold a record for at least 1 week.
Is Adam Cornett
Fact.
next week?
Yes.
Adam.
Why are we even drinking?
Well, he could pull a Lebs. You never know.
I really like my chances of winning.
You're in, Scotty.
Scotty, you're
Okay, I
going
feel
to be.
good.
Let's just set the pace, boys. This is like the Tour de France. Let's get out there and post a number.
I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling that one I just crushed. Very gassy right in around here. So best of luck. Don't do it out of a can. That's terrible, terrible advice. But I wish you the best. So on the count of go, how am I gonna do this? 3, 2, 1, go. Britchy, you're gonna go.
Okay.
You need to show us your empty before T Money can go next.
I'm drinking out of this one.
And legends in the chat, I will be counting off in Mississippi's. Feel free to join me because heck, wouldn't that be hilarious sitting in your living room counting off Mississippi's with a bunch of guys drinking on the internet?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Pretty entertaining stuff.
All right, guys. Britchy, you ready?
I think so.
Yeah, you look loose.
Try.
Try not to get any trapped in your mustache. I think that's where I went wrong.
All right. Well, you got a lot more mustache, so maybe this maybe this is a perfect amount.
It's like a Brita air filter or something there. All right, buddy. 3, 2, 1, go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi,
Are you kidding me?
Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi,
Sandbagging.
9 Mississippi,
He might.
10 Mississippi,
He
11
might.
Mississippi, 12 Mississippi, 13 Mississippi, 14 Mississippi, 15 Mississippi, 16 Mississippi, 17 Mississippi, 18 Mississippi, 19 Mississippi, 20 Mississippi.
That's pretty good.
That was actually better than I thought.
Yes.
Really?
Excellent. New record, legend.
New Legends of Hockey record, boys.
And a new LWO radio record as well. Well done, boys.
I knew we could do it.
Great job.
Britchy, you really set the pace there.
Job. I think that set the tone for the entire episode, gentlemen.
Had my lucky Fernie mug.
Bernie.
All right, boys.
Can I jump in with one silly little story that reminds me of?
Absolutely.
Koski and I were playing on an intramural team at SFU, and we're playing with a future legend of hockey, Derek Hay, and we're out for the first beers of the year with the team, and we're 19 or 20, and we hit the pub, and the boys are ordering a round, so everybody's getting a round of pitchers, but Koski and I, in our youth, don't know what a pitcher is, and we think they're talking about, they're getting a round of pints, and we think that they're getting a round of pitchers. And so we say to the waitress, we'll share one. And she's like, what do you mean you'll share one? Yeah. And then we're like, well, that's we don't need a whole pitcher, but it's a pint. So it shows up, she puts down the one beer between us, and Koski and I look at each other and just start killing ourselves laughing. Bit of a flip off.
And Derek didn't correct us at any point. Just sort of let us know that 5 minutes.
Hey, before we get into the real action of the show, because it feels like we've really covered a lot of ground in the first 20 minutes. And a pro tip, I was told this would not be a 2-hour episode, but we are trending well, gentlemen. We are trending well. I'd like to dedicate this week's episode, and for that dedication this week, we've got another legend. This time, maybe not necessarily related to the global pandemic, but this week, someone who has a meaningful history with the Legends of Hockey. This week, we are dedicating the show to Gussie, who you can see on the screen. So, Gussie, I understand you've been involved with the Legends of Hockey since day one, and for that story, I'm going to go to T Money.
All right, thank you, Holla. I will admit that occasionally the audio is funny for me on my end, but I can hear you. And Gussie, we were sitting in the beer gardens, August 2011 in Salmon Arm. Little did we know that was going to be the last beer gardens ever in the Salmon Arm tournament, because the Salmon Arm tournament ceased to exist. And Gussie's sitting there, and I did check with him. He looks around, sees questionable hockey talent sitting around him and thinks, why are we just doing this in soccer? Let's do this in hockey. And a number of us are there, Koski and I, two of them, and there's a few others as well. And we think, yes, you've got this right. Let's do this. Let's do a hockey tournament. And from Gussie, the legends of hockey were born. So cheers to you, Gus.
Gus.
Cheers to you, Gussie.
And there he is.
There he is. He's on. He's in the show. He's enjoying the content. Hopefully, a lot of trash talk towards the boat race, but I think overall, I think everyone can appreciate the effort. Yes, I am a bit of a rookie, but I didn't have a glass in front of me. But you know what? We nailed it. So good stuff, boys. That is the dedication. Thanks, Gussie. Big cheers to you, my friend. And now we go to one of the most famous segments of LWO Radio. I'm talking about the episode sponsor, and for that, I'm going over to Scotty. Scotty?
Thanks, Holla. This is kind of a mixed bag today of breaking news, where are they now, and sponsorship, all rolled into one and all big deals. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Dr. Brett Poulos quits becoming a medical doctor. That's right, he is leaving his PhD in medicine behind to pursue a new dream career and passion, his PhD in sensational flavors. Brett is launching a series of delicious new food products mired with innovative ideas, tastes never before seen. First up in the lineup, Dr. Brett's Just the Crust. The preserved glass jars contained, yep, you guessed it, everyone's favorite snack, pizza crusts. Pop the top and step into flavor country. Yum, yum. Currently not available in gluten-free because Dr. Brett, quote, ain't no fucking weenie. And if just the crust isn't all the flavor you desire, well, friends, you're in luck with Dr. Brett's Everything Sauce. That's right, this 750 milliliter bottle contains every sauce you would ever need, all rolled into one. It's got ketchup and hot sauce, barbecue sauce, honey mustard, sriracha, ranch, mayonnaise, fish sauce, tartar, mustard, yogurt, pesto, more ketchup, marinara, and of course, soy sauce. I know what you're thinking too. Darn it all, am I thirsty? Again, you're in luck. Dr. Brett's Meat Soda. Made from flame-grilled Burger King Whopper Patty grease extract, this refreshing blend combines every obese person's wet dream, burger grease, and soda together at last. Nothing like a cold, refreshing meat soda to kick off the weekend. Now back to more LWO Radio. Holla?
That was impressive yet again, Scotty. Thank you for doing that. Britchy?
Yeah, quick question. Is this a co-marketing opportunity? If Dr. Brett has just the crust, and I've seen Dr. Spilly selling just the tip.
Yeah, I think that's fair game.
I'm not a marketing guy, but
if you were here, he would have been happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to read that, but yeah, that sounds, there's something there. Something.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting you try it. I'm suggesting you market it. That's all. Okay.
Venture capitalists get in touch, and I can't tell you how reassuring it is to know that Britchy is not just another handsome face. He is also the brains behind part of this episode, probably at least 1/5, and also he can drink a beer very fast. So well done. Thank you for that, Scotty. And for those of you who are looking for that meat soda, I can tell you that you should get a hold of Dr. Brett Poulos. Moving on to the segment. The main event tonight is around the legends of hockey. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to T Money to talk a little bit about the origins of the legends of hockey, some of the players that have been involved, and to share some of the great stories that have happened down the years with LWO's favorite hockey team, the Legends of Hockey. T?
Yes, thank you very much. So I'm going to start a little bit before the Legends of Hockey, and it doesn't do a service to the entirety of the team, so I'll be very brief there because it's more sort of the salmon arm side of things. But we've got, like, a lot of us, Koski, myself, not Wade, because he would have been in the basketball side with you and Rimek, Holla, but there was a number of us that hockey was our sport growing up. Soccer wasn't that big in salmon arm past elementary school. I don't know about you, Koski. We didn't even have soccer in junior high.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So hockey is the thing. we played it until, minor hockey sort of runs out. And then a lot of us play intermittently. Koski, you played a reasonable amount. I was very hit and miss, played some, went years without putting on the skates, played some with Britchy in Victoria and then a little bit in Vancouver as well, but didn't really play a lot. But we occasionally would put in a tournament, enter a team in a tournament in Salmon Arm. And Britchy and Koski and I and Kev and Ryder and Wade was there at times. Mac was there at times. Who else would have been there? Jose even came to one tournament. We put in a group and we'd give it our best in the Salmon Arm tournament, but we never actually won it. We had a heartbreaking shootout loss on a complete ridiculous goal by the other team in a shootout. But we didn't manage to win it. But then it had been, half a dozen years, and I'd been on the ice 3 times. I was looking through old emails. I'd really stopped playing hockey. I was moved on to soccer, and I was asking Benny, and he said it was 13 years since he played any hockey particularly. But Gussie had come up with the idea in 2011 to start playing with the Legends. And so this would be the first time that we had gone down the LWO avenue. And so it was going to be a lot of the guys that we had before. Us 3 happened to be on the panel. But there was, we'd add, like Benny had never played with us. And Dalek had never played with us. So there was a number of, Gussie had never played with us. There'd been some LWO guys that played, but we'd never played together. And we decided to give it a go. So I think I was probably doing some of the organizing of it, and I had zero confidence in my game. In fact, I knew I was terrible. So we were going to enter the rec tournament in Salmon Arm. And we sort of started patching a team together. So we ended up with my brother, and so it's kind of a bit of a mix, and I'll give you a little bit of a flavor of who guys are at the start. My brother was a really good player, and he's my older brother, and he played in the BCHL and was actually the MVP of the league one year, and then went on to play at UBC. So he was going to play with us, so we knew we had a good player. And we also had a guy named Warren Carter that committed to playing with us, and I'll get back to Warren in a bit. He had played BCHL and NCAA hockey as well, so was a really good player. And myself, who was not a really good player. And then we had Benny, who played, had won the Canadian Championship in junior hockey and had played a little bit in college. And Gussie and Mac. Gussie had played some rep hockey. Mac had played a bit as a kid, and then he's one of those rare guys who actually got better as he got older somehow, as the rest of us are getting worse. Mac kept getting better. And then we had Koski, and Koski and I played together a fair bit when we were younger, and even through our 20s we were playing together, and probably roughly the same level, Koski and I. And then Ryder had played as a kid. Ryder was about 4'8" when he graduated from high school, and so wasn't the peak of his powers through high school, although he was always a crazy stick handler and had mad skills. And then in his first year of university or college, he grew I think it was 1.5 feet, and became a really good player. And he developed crazy things like the chicken pass, and had some unbelievable skills that he started demonstrating out there on the ice. And in basketball, he could even touch the net by that point, so that was cool too in the basketball front. And we had John Bootsma, who's one of Koski's best friends and a great guy from Salmon Arm that we'd known for a long time. He's sort of like one of those guys too that was a good player when we were young, but he just kept playing. And by the time you reach your 20s, hey, Koski, he's really good.
Playing, and he just stayed good and stayed in shape and had that hockey fitness that the rest of us obviously didn't really maintain.
Yeah, and then on D we didn't have Dalek at first, so I just want to be clear about that. We asked him, but he plays for a Salmon Arm team, the best Salmon Arm team called the Aces, and so I'll get back to Dalek, but he said no originally. And we had Champ, who great athlete. Basketball had been his thing, but he was a good hockey player, and also one of those guys that when he started playing more hockey got better and better at hockey, and he's really a good defenseman. And we had Britchy, and Britchy, you're a hockey dude, so I'm going to throw that over to you about your hockey expertise.
Hold on. Britchy,
yes,
you are a hockey dude. But I hope that in your answer here, I mean, Koski and T Money know each other. Aside from searching men seeking men ads on Craigslist,
No,
how
I
do you?
thought by men. It's different. Don't paint me with that. Right?
I'm not a strong painter.
One man trying to make a living.
How do you connect with these dudes on ice, as they say sometimes in the business? How do you run in with these guys? Because I appreciate T Money throwing it to you, and you're a great hockey player in your own right. But how do you link up with this crew? Because I think people would like to know.
Well, this is a quite a hallowed story. In law school, I was renting a townhouse from my parents, out of all things, and I needed roommates because my roommates were leaving, and I was moving to Montreal for the summer. And someone said, "Hey, do you know this Troy kid?" I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, I know Troy. And like, yeah, I think he's looking to stay. I think we'd probably talked a couple of times, like didn't know each other super well. Ran into the library. I'm like, "Hey, Chris, you're Troy." Yeah. Do you need a place to live this summer? I do. Well, I have one. Cool. I'll live there. Great. All right. And then we were roommates, not the men seeking men sort, Holla. Yeah,
Still
just
time.
Through that got hooked up with this crew. So as T mentioned, went out in the early days in the tournament, brought my roommate from college, who at the time was a minor celebrity because he was on Sports Page. So Mrs. Tellifer, all of a sudden she's like, "You know what, Britchy? I didn't like you a lot before, but this celebrity thing, this is quite cool." I think he might have even given your mom a shout out on Sports Page.
He did about her chili, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm involved with the Tellifers at this point. Like I'm in pretty deep. And then hockey background. You know what? I actually thought as a kid I was okay-ish. And I was talking with a buddy. He's played forever, played pro, retired in his 40s. And I was telling him about when we made our junior B team when we were 16. And he's like, "Yeah, no, we got cut." I'm like, no. Like, this is the only team it got as high as, this is as high as it got was junior B. And we made the team and then we quit. It's like, no, we didn't even make the team. And then a whole bunch of guys got injured and they needed us back. I'm like, oh, so I was never good. He's like, no, never. Like, not even at all. But really good guy on the bus. Really good guy on the bus. Good team guy. Good team.
Britchy, good is the enemy of great. Remember that.
That's true. That's true.
So
but out of it,
where you land in the spectrum.
Quite tall. Because with T and Koski, they're only like 6'3". So at 6'4" or so, I'm the elder, the tallest of the statesmen, they say.
I love it. I love it.
Good. Very good.
Now, we've heard from Britchy and by now all of you legends in the chat should know Britchy. And if you don't, I feel badly for you. But a legend that has been around for many moons is Koski. Koski, what do you say to T Money when he says, "Hey, we got this idea. We're going to put the legends of hockey together." Other than sign me up, what do you think at the time?
Well, at that point I played the 94, the big one, 94, the first win in the soccer side. And then it'd been probably, I don't know, 20 years, 23 years. Math's not good. Since I'd actually done really anything significant in sports. And so Gussie mentions that. I'm all over it thinking, well, I still play a little bit of hockey. And so I'm thinking we should play. But my thought
Koski's there, by the way, Holla. Koski's in the beer gardens when this comes
I was in the beer gardens when Gussie brings us up. There's a few beers in for sure. And at that point, my confidence is soaring. I'm thinking this is going to be amazing. What we found out, though, is Troy and I talked a lot on the side. We had a lot of emails, a lot of talk, and we're going based on the lineup we figured we were going to have and what we knew of our lineup at that point. We definitely are a rec team. I think Troy mentioned earlier, hadn't played for 15 years or something like that. Maybe stepped on the ice for on the lake or something. I'd played maybe a few times. Really thinking this is going to be, you just want to see the guys. It's not really about winning, just a fun get together with a bunch of guys, a lot of LWOers, obviously. and then we'll fill it in with some other buddies we know. And that was kind of the gist of it, and play the rec side and have some fun. It was really no big game plan. And then, you know, things went from there. When we, of course, we got in the tournament, things changed from rec to suddenly we're in the competitive side, but maybe we'll get into that later perhaps. But it was a great idea as far as when I thought we were on the rec side, put it that way.
Then things got turned up. As they do when you're a legend. There's a competitive aspect to being a part of this, whether you're on LWO radio, a legend of hockey, or part of the legendary LWO football club. Competitiveness goes hand in hand with the brotherhood that is LWO. So we get to the first LWO Legends of Hockey tournament. T Money, do you want to start us off and just tell us a bit about this? I mean, I think this is the one where there's a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah, totally. And I'm just going to slightly round out the roster, and then I'm actually going to lob it back to Koski for a sec. So we're filling out the D. We got Champ, we got Britchy, and we get that we referenced back from the SFU days for Koski and I, and a salmon arm guy. And similar to soccer, we've got Gammy as the godfather. Derek Hay, we call it the godfather in hockey. And so he was a guy that Brent and I had known forever. 2 years older than us, Brent?
That's right.
And we got him in, and it was just sort of fortuitous because we hadn't played with him in ages, and he happened to be about to move to Philadelphia, but we were able to just sort of get him on, you know, in between. So he was in, and Gussie happened to know a goalie, and we didn't know a goalie. And so it wasn't like we were weeding through to figure out who was our goalie. It was like, oh, Gussie knows a goalie. Great. He's in. And his name's Thomas Vickers. And none of us knew anything about him. Gussie said he was good. And as it turns out, I'll maybe go forward and come back. Thomas Vickers is a little bit younger than us. He's 35 now. So not just a little bit younger, let's be fair, he's a decade younger than us. And he played 4 years in the WHL, which is the best league in junior in Canada. And then he played 4 years of the CIAU for University of Saskatchewan, and came within a goal of winning the national title. They lost in overtime to the U of A, I think in his last year, but I'm not positive about that. And so he wasn't just an okay goalie. He was like the best goalie we've ever seen. But we didn't know that. And so we just knew we had a goalie. And so that's another guy. So we got our really good guys are my brother. We got Thomas. We got very late in the game, suddenly Dalek becomes available. And so we get Dalek signed up. Another guy who, like Benny, who's another one of our good players, had won the Canadian Championship in junior. So we're a really weird mix because we've got 4 guys who are excellent players with like a lot of pedigree. Benny's not playing anymore, but is a good player. And then we've got a bit of a ragtag group after that, except for Britchy, who's also a star.
Yes.
And so we show up in the dress. Oh, I'm going to go stop there. So, Brent, we got Derek Hay and a former roommate, Ryder Petch story. I want to lob that over to you.
Yeah, no, it's a quick one here. Troy touched on Derek. Derek happens to also be coincidentally called the Godfather. He also was known as Dewey. Classic salmon arm dude. Started out at Troy and I knew him back in SFU days. He was back in those days worked for Gavin's on the side. He was a bread man. He's now working for Campbell's Soup, so became like a soup dude, and is actually he's now in New Jersey, sort of the headquarters of Campbell's Soup, and he's one of the head honchos there now.
You should introduce him to Dr. Brett.
I should. Yeah. So
Dr. Spilly even.
Dr. Spilly would be ideal. So the whole genesis of the Derek story, really, because he just happened to, like, honestly, we played with him back in the mid 90s, late 90s. Matt Phillips would be like a nice name drop at this moment. Same for the era as Derek. Those guys are we looked up to those guys a lot growing up.
Totally.
And so Derek was kind of in that, that group of the cool dudes. Anyways, I just moved to Calgary at this point. Ryder was living there. Derek was living there. And Derek became the Godfather because basically anybody who was from Salmon Arm would stay at Derek's house. It was like not just for like a week or two, like for possibly a year or two. Like he was just sort of like, you'd get there. It was always Salmon Arm people. It was like everything from Ryder Petch, Reagan Petch, Brandy Petch, Nicole Bruce,
your sister,
my sister, Wade, the champ, I should say, was there actually for a Stampede weekend.
And me sleeping on the floor.
Troy, of course. And just the list goes on. It's like there's a long lineup of people that he just sort of just take in. He had this big house. He was kind of like a 50-year-old in a 28-year-old's body. He was just that kind of guy.
But a total beauty, like
what's that?
Heart of gold guy.
Heart of gold, just like just a great dude. And we're talking like almost like he's past tense, but he's still alive and he's doing well. But hopefully he'll see this one day. But anyways, so Ryder is doing his stint at the Godfather's house, and it's just him and the Godfather, so which is kind of nice, just the two of them. And Ryder and I think it hit the Electric Ave late one night in Calgary, and Ryder gets back to the house, and it happens to Ryder sometimes. There's another story there, but I won't get into now, where Ryder sometimes gets locked out of houses, and he can't get in the house. He's forgot his keys. He doesn't have the code. He's like, oh crap, this is dead of winter Calgary, -20, -30 kind of weather. Ryder starts trying the doors, the windows. He sees the Godfather sleeping in his bed, but only like Ryder would do. Instead of like rapping on the window and saying like, come on, buddy, gotta wake the fuck up here. And I think of all the legends I know, he's the only guy who would not do that. He actually just decides, no, the guy's got to work tomorrow. It's 2 a.m. It's 30 below. I shouldn't wake him up. So he then decides I got to find somewhere else to sleep in the area. And we've just come like probably from a bar where he's wearing like a light jacket and some, jeans. He sees the garage. Okay, the garage. Tries the door, locked. Shit. He then tries the code on the garage. There's a code. Doesn't know it. 20 minutes, half an hour. He actually, the story is, and Ryder, if you want to chip in somewhere in a comment here, I'm pretty sure he had no idea what the code was. Half an hour, I think, goes by, and he somehow figures out the freaking code, which is, he's also part genius. And then works his way into the garage. Oh, crap. It's not heated. So it's 20, 30 below. He's now in a garage. When a house, they could, just knock on a window and get in, but this is Ryder. He's like just a gentleman of a man. So all he sees in the garage is, of course, Dewey / the Godfather's car, a hockey bag, and a roll of carpet, like a big rolled up carpet. And so he's piecing it together like Dora the Explorer here. What am I going to do? And he decides, I'm going to put on that hockey gear to keep warm. It's Derek's hockey gear. Throws the whole thing on, helmet, the whole nine, rolls himself up in the carpet, and surprisingly, he actually falls asleep. And Derek actually gets up in the morning and goes in the garage to start up his car, go to work like a guy does. And the dude rolled up in a carpet and just a sort of a hockey helmet sticking out the end. And literally, he doesn't know who the frick it is at that point. Knocks him on the helmet, realizes, oh my God, it's frickin' Ryder. What the hell is he doing? Thought he had a bad acid trip or something. And no, it's just Ryder being a gentleman. And so he helps unroll him out of the carpet, gets him, and there's a touch of hypothermia involved. Koski house, makes him a nice little breakfast, warms up the shower for him, and it's a nice little story about the first year of the Legends guys.
That's funny because when I met him that tournament and asked him like, Soup, how'd you get into Soup? And he's like, I had a story with Buddy and he almost died of hypothermia, and Soup. And I think those two, that's the
guys together. Yeah. So yeah, two beauties. We'll put it that way.
Sorry, I just got to jump in because Ryder's picture keeps coming up. I need that picture for my Christian Mingle profile. Clean cut, clean living, JC saves. I like it. That, and then 2 other ones. You mentioned Matty Phillips. I don't know where we played with him, but I remember the first time I saw him skate, I'm like, it's Niedermeyer. Like he was
smooth, super smooth.
Oh, dude. Totally.
And then the other one with Thomas, other than Dolly, our best first pass from our defensive core is Thomas. Like the rest of the people, really nice people, Great people. Or Dolly, and let's get it out of our zone.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've only seen Dalek play once because I'm not a big hockey guy, and he was just hung over the tits last year at this last thing, and his passes were less than perfect. We're gonna have to say
That was
were
the worst game of
offensive
Dalek's
block.
life.
But, I remember that game. Yeah, he was not on, but unusual for sure.
That's what happens when you roll with Holla to his haircut place, Dolly Coolio Bartman. And now
this
I
isn't
haven't
actually
had
part of it, so I'll jump in there with the
Yeah.
Thomas. Like Thomas is an amazing puck
Yeah.
handler. Like he's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, for me, he's like a dude, and he was living in Williams Lake at that point, and so the comparison for me is like he actually looks like him too. He looks like Carey Price, and he plays the puck like better than I do. And so we went into a shootout in one game, and it wasn't. Kev wasn't there and Dalek wasn't there. We didn't have our ringers. It was one of the down years, and it's not part of the story. So it's just, and I wasn't even shitting. I was like, Thomas, do you want to take a shot because you're like better than the rest of us? And he was like, no, I don't want. And I think it went like 7 or 8 shooters with nobody scoring.
Yes. Yeah.
And he should have taken a damn shot, Thomas, you sucker.
The first couple of years, it was Thomas. Like, there's no question about it. We just were hanging on for dear life.
Oh, I hear Kai screaming in the background. Keep talking. So
entertain yourselves.
Okay, so we basically got the team, but last minute, we have Britchy hurts his back and he can't play. But being a legend that he is, Britchy comes to the tournament.
Right.
And that's actually Finley screaming in the back. And so Britchy comes, Coolio breaks his hand. Something stupid in a hockey tournament, like punches a door or a wall. I'm sure he'll chime in. It's not even really hockey related. So we don't know if he can play. We circle back to this guy named Dave Dalek, and it turns out he's available. And whew, thank God. So Dalek plays. And then we also get Dave Bartman very late.
It's not your
So that's our team. We got our team now. We're in the tournament. We're in the rec side of the tournament. We show up. It's game 1. And I remember my brother being there and talking to Kev, who's one of our good players. Oh, phone booth. Thanks, Barts. And so, like, we're just kind of thinking we're there for a good time and not a long time, probably. Yeah. And that's in the rec side. Like, so, because, again, we don't know who Thomas is. We show up in the dressing room and guys start filing in. And one guy who doesn't file in, and Holla, I'll make sure I don't go down a road I went on my last episode, but is Warren Carter. And he's this good dude that Brent and I have played with a lot. And Britchy, you would have played with him too. And he's a really good player. He's going to be one of our best players, but he doesn't show. And this is before the days that you're going to have cell phones in there. So he just doesn't show. And I'm like, shit, he was one of our best players. And truth is, I emailed him after saying, like, what's going on, what's happening, and I've never heard from him again. But unlike with Tony in the Revelstoke Soccer, I'm not going to declare Warren dead. I did some fact checking.
Don't do it.
Matty Phillips has assured me that Warren is alive, and so, but he never returned my emails, never returned anything. Just was a complete
Warren, never see this. Please come back.
Yeah.
T-Money, did you just say that nobody had cell phones in 2012?
We did have them, but I didn't have mine in the dressing room.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I thought that was going to be another Bremner doing your research story.
No, but it just like you just weren't lugging them around like you would today.
Fair enough. Fair
As
enough.
a related aside, I would like to point out that my glass back, due to my glass back, we effectively brought on Dolly and Bartman. So playing defense.
Yeah, I got to talk about Bartman a little bit.
Yeah, say we've got 5D and Dolly and Bartman are 2 of them. Those 2 account for 98% of our defense. And my glass back brought them on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Britchy.
We already dedicated the episode to Gussie, Britchy.
Look at what it did.
Okay, so we walk into the dressing room and the tournament organizer says to us, because he kind of remembers us, right? Like we're salmon arm boys. And like when I was 6, I was really fucking good. And like by 7 and 8, I'm just an average player. But he remembers like Koski and I from when we're young and good, and he knows that my brother was really good. And so he doesn't even tell us, which becomes a theme as these tournaments go along. But we walk into the dressing room and he says, "You're in the competitive division." Like, what? Like, we don't even have jerseys, dude. Like, we're just like a bunch of guys showing up to try to hang out together. And so instead of being in the rec, we're in the competitive. And I want to lob this one over. Koski and Britchy, you're there. What do you think our chances are at that point in time?
Go ahead, Britchy.
I'm not feeling super confident about it. I'm in the stands, so I'm able to. I mean, I think there was a team there with coordinated camo jerseys, a bus, and a portable skate sharpener. And to me, that just screams, wow. So, and percentage-wise, I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm pushing that over to Koski. He's the numbers guy.
Yeah, well, I pretend to be. I mean, honestly, again, I think I touched on it earlier, but Troy and I had, I don't know if we were texting. Well, we'd have been texting in 2012, surely, but probably emailing more. That was more our style.
Paying for each text.
It was expensive. It was early days. And then we did talk a lot about it. And I remember we're pretty focused. And another shout out to Cord McIntosh. Love the guy, but he unfortunately put us on not the rec side. And we found out that I think day one, right, Troy? It was
in the dressing room. In the dressing room.
I can kind of remember you coming in and you had that look of like, oh crap, this is not good. And I'm thinking, I'm kind of excited. We're gonna play some, it's gonna be fun. And then you said we're on the competitive side. I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna be, now we got to try not to embarrass ourselves. We're calling ourselves the legends. It's not gonna be so legendary to get our ass kicked every game by double digits. That was probably my first thought when Troy came in the door with that news. It wasn't good. Yeah.
And I felt like that too. And I actually reached out to some of the boys because like some of them knew Thomas. So, I texted some of the boys and Dolly knew Thomas. Obviously Gussie did. But Kevin didn't. And Kevin didn't know, I think he knew Ben, but he didn't know that Ben was a good player. Yeah. And Dolly is one of those guys too. Hey, Koski, that like he was good when we were kids. Like but he was better than you and I probably, but not like ridiculously better than you and I.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen him play since then, and so I didn't even know how good Dolly was.
I had some idea just from talking. You mentioned John Bootsma. I know from talking to him that Dolly could probably in Salmon Arm circles was the best defenseman in town. But I was also thinking, one great defenseman is probably not enough to win a tournament because, and you can't play the whole game, blah, blah, blah. And so honestly, I was thinking we're in a lot of trouble. It was mostly just not embarrassing ourselves at that moment. Is honestly.
But then it's interesting because you hear Dolly and Gus and they'll say, oh, no, man, like I thought we had a chance. Like I didn't know what the chance was, but I thought we had a chance.
Yeah.
And, in my mind, when I saw their text to me on that, I'm like, you haven't seen like some of us play in a long time, man. Like you don't know how bad we are.
Yeah, Dolly's picturing us at bantam rep level, thinking if they've excelled at that rate, still that we're gonna be just fine. And we're like, no, we haven't played since bantam rep, so
and we're actually shorter than we were.
Your chart is not working for us.
So we're sort of lucky though. The first game of the tournament is a ragtag Salmon Arm team, and that's like right up our alley. And we have 3 lines. We have 3D in that game because the champ isn't there yet. He's, the best dad in the world, and he's got some commitment in Kelowna probably, and he's not there. And it's Sean Russell's team, Koski, and we take them down like something like 5-2. And I remember early in the game, you kind of get a feel for how the other team is, and thinking like, okay, we're not in over our head here. This is fine. I don't remember much about the game, but we win that game. Do you remember much about it?
Yeah, game 1. You talk about game 1?
Yeah.
Honestly, Troy, as you know, I don't. My memory is fuzzy at best times, but when we get to game 2, I definitely have more some clear thoughts on that one.
Okay, so this is a big one. So we win. But then we know going in that our second game is against a team from Didsbury. And I don't know, like, I don't even think, honestly, I've ever heard of Didsbury at that point, but it's not a city. It's just this little shithole between Calgary and Edmonton.
Yeah, me and Lebsy know Didsbury. It's kind of, it is a shithole town out of Calgary. You're right.
Yeah. And they're the defending champs. And in fact, I think they're the 2-time defending champs. So we're thinking, okay, this is where the rubber hits the road, right? We're just this ragtag group of dudes who don't play together, and we're coming up against the 2-time champs. And so that's game 2. The champ is still not there. For some reason, the champ's going to arrive partway through the game. And so the game starts, and I'm not going to remember the exact score, but it doesn't matter. It's something like 3-all. And these games are 2 periods, stop time with a flood in between the periods. And it's fairly late in the first period, and it's something like 2-all or 3-all. And I think it's a pretty even game, somewhat surprisingly, probably. Yeah. And Koski and I are wing pairs. Oh, because John's not there. So we've gone down to 2 centermen. We got Kev and Benny, who are our 2 best forwards, as our centers. And Koski and I have gone to a wing pair. And I mean, and that turns out to be pretty fortunate because of what goes down here. It's a tie game, and I don't even know what the hell has gone on. I've missed what's happened that's led to it. But like, suddenly you know shit's going down. And you look up the ice and it's towards the Didsbury goal. And my brother, who's not my size, he's like actually like a normal adult size. Yeah. He's on top of a dude. And like, if any of you remember the sort of Todd Bertuzzi incident of like with Steve Moore, where he's like ramming his face into the ice, kind of like that. Like Kev's, like when I look over, Kev's on a dude's back and he's kind of like rubbing the dude's face into the ice. And I'm like, oh shit. And there's a dude like coming after Kev. And then sort of your hockey instinct kicks in despite my size. And you're like, and it's not even that it's specifically your brother. You're just like, oh fuck, like I got to get involved in this.
No, sorry, 1 second. This is where I will disagree.
Yeah, I agree too.
You are the mild-mannered person I've ever met. Like through law school, there have been about 40 times you're like, Britchy, you're being a dick. Don't do this. Don't do this. I'm like, okay, the voice of reason. If there's a situation where Kev's involved and something's, you lose your mind with this brother protectionist part, and I love it. But you, like, so it's calm. I'm gonna shiv you, and when that snaps, and that's what happened there. So,
or if somebody takes your recorder away, Troy will step in for that too every time.
Agreed. I gotta agree with that. You know, like T Money, you are a very calm, collected individual. But when you cross the line, cross the line, you have got a competitive edge, my friend. And I can only imagine what it's like with your brother.
Troy fully Bobby Orr'd into that dog pile of guys, and said something like, "I got you, bro," or something like that. It was pretty special.
But like, yeah. Anyway, I didn't start this bloody thing, at least. So it's like, but it is on. Like, it's on. And I mean, like, Kevin has got as his protection, and I honestly can't remember who the 2 D-men are, but he's got me and Koski, like, you know, so, you know, that's great. So he's lucky there. And this is one of those things where you're just going for it and you don't know what the end game is, other than like, I'm thinking Kev might have killed this fucking guy. Like, you know, and like, there is a little bit of like, what's gone on? Because I have no clue what started it even. So it's just this crazy like brouhaha that ends, and I'm going to lob this over to you, Britchy. After it's all kind of broken up, Kev's kicked out of the game. One of the dudes is kicked out of the game.
He's on his way. He's on his way. So I'm sitting in the stands with your dad. I was standing because I couldn't sit down because of my glass back. And so I'm standing there, and Kev gets kicked out and starts skating towards the gate to leave the ice. And then this fat prick from Doucheberry stands up and spears him from the bench, and I lose it.
True story.
So I bolt down from the stands. Fortunately for everyone, mostly me, I'm not very tall and don't have a very good vertical, so I can't scale the glass, but I'm going to try to scale the glass to get over the doucheberry bench. Like spearing from the bench, I know about spearing from the ice. I do it for a living, okay? But I lost my mind. And so when that guy came up, then I think it all went even crazier. Even your dad was like, get down there, Britchy.
I do remember you, Britchy. It was one of the finest moments I've seen in the hockey in our Legends time, considering you weren't even wearing gear. You were fired up, and it was honestly, I think it in a good way. Like, it was just like it kind of fed the passion of like, this guy is like, he's ready to go, glass back, injured, the whole nine, but you were ready to jump on that ice and do whatever it took to take care of business.
That guy would have killed me, though. That's the
part. Yeah, me and Troy out there. Just don't forget that, right?
Oh, I know. Don't even worry about it.
Twin Tower.
So Kevin gets kicked out of the game, and he's our best forward, probably. Him and Banner are two like guys who have actually played any decent level of hockey. But the crazy thing out of this, because I'm thinking, like, honestly thinking Kev's going to get kicked out of the tournament, and you know, the upside of this penalty could be he's going to jail, and the downside could be like we're screwed for this tournament. And it turns out somehow out of this whole melee, we get a power play.
Right.
And the other team is like, Disbury's like, what the fuck?
How the hell did that happen?
Yeah. And it turned out that it had started from this guy high sticking Kev. So the ref had seen it. And the guy high stick Kev, so Kev's bleeding. And he comes into the dressing room, and I think Brent, like, just as Champ's arriving, Champ is just arrived.
Yeah.
And do you know this part, Brent?
I do. Yeah. No. So I think a good way to tee this up is that basically we were thinking we're on the rec tourney side, and turns out not quite. And we got Didsbury here, and I'm pretty sure, Troy, I think it's that game if I remember correctly. They were like second game, maybe early afternoon. They're drunk, and not classy drunk like the Legends kind of do in the odd game where we just, a couple pills and you kind of make it happen. They're like kind of messy and ornery and chippy and chirpy, and it's kind of ugly. And the whole game was just one of the more weird games I played in, but crazy, right? So that all happens, the whole story we just touched on. Kev's in the dressing room. Two of their guys have been kicked out. Kev's like bleeding. He's like basically not, he's just, not talking about anything. Wade comes in and thinks, hey, Kev, what are you doing here? And Kev's not talking. Clearly pissed off about just what's happened. Wade sort of quietly puts on his gear going, what the fuck's going on here? And gets out on the ice. There's now more guys in the penalty box than on the bench. And somehow out of all that, we have a power play. and Wade's like, okay, this is not what I expected. And to Troy's point, we have a power play. I think we score on that power play.
We score on the power play to take the lead. And very shortly after we score on the power play, their goalie gets hurt.
Right.
And it's not like, other than us, when we have Spilly as a backup goalie, most teams don't bring a backup goalie to a rec hockey tournament. So there's a delay in the game while one of their dudes goes and puts on the goalie's equipment. And like, a lot of the emotion kind of falls out of the game, and we roll them from there, and we beat them quite badly, not surprisingly.
Yeah.
Given that they just lost.
There was a net for the last probably 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we beat them, but I'll put a mini asterisk there that we'll wipe off later. But like, because they did lose their goalie.
They did. We should touch on the jerseys real quick because they're ugly, like camo jerseys, kind of like, what was the camouflage look like?
They eventually came up with dragon jerseys, but I don't think they had those the first year.
Oh, was this maybe the second year they had the bus and the whole nine? Was it, or I don't remember now?
They
had a skate sharpener guy or something. There was a scene.
They're idiots. Like, through the years we played them, and we ended up playing them each of the first 4 years. Like, and I'm, despite my size, like, like on the ice, I don't look as big as I actually am. And they're like, I'd be on the ice and they'd be yelling from the bench at me, Adam, which is like not Adam Cornett. It's like the smallest groups of kids that play hockey.
Right. Yeah.
I think it was douchebag. I can't remember if it was my gloves or what it was, but they were making fun of me, telling me to get a job.
They were. You're right. I remember that now. There was a little sort of significant trash talk of the guy who's just coaching and actually, I think I remember correctly, I thought I saw a shout out from Monty. I think I should probably mention Monty. I think was co-coach with you of that, Britchy, or is that right?
He was coaching.
Yeah, Monty and you, Britchy, were the coaches that year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Monty was the coach. I was assistant to an imaginary assistant for Monty.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a really difficult job to step in and coach this group. I've done it in future years with Holla and with Spilly, and it's a great honor. But yeah, knowing that history, I don't know if I would have taken that job on. That's a scary past right there. I didn't know that Kevin almost went to jail for murder. So that's really nice.
The big role. The big role.
Adversity, it builds character, I think, right?
Yeah, I guess it would have just been manslaughter. Like that's like the weak man's murder.
I gotta admit that when the whole storm happened, I told Gary Curry / Matt Naslund, I was like, just get me off the ice. If I can just get off the ice, that'd be great. Like I was not a hero. I was like, this is not my comfort zone.
So with an eye on the clock, as Holla predicted, we'll move on. We win that game. We've created a rival for the rest of our tournament days, and we will swing back to that. We move, but it's a 6-team tournament that year, and we've done enough to move on to the semi first out of our group. Didsbury's going to also advance, so there's a chance we can play Didsbury in the final. We beat some team that I honestly can't remember, and that's Sunday morning. So Saturday evening, like I just can't. Like our evenings were pretty typically hit the gardens. It's not like a soccer tournament. There's not a million people in the gardens. There's us and a few other dudes, right? And then we go to Setters, and we light it up there. So, but it's not crazy stories. It's just, unless you guys have anything, it's just, we're just doing what we do. That feel right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next morning we play this team, and I don't remember where they're from, but they're a good team, and we play them in the semis, and we come in at the intermission, and I think it's tied. And I remember the dressing room being really quiet, and it's one of those things, and if you've been to tournaments, you just know, like, you want to win, but you're also hungover and you're tired, and like the thought of playing in the finals is also like, you want to do it, but it's also kind of daunting too, because you're just not feeling great. Yeah. And I remember even Kevin saying something in the dressing room about pretty quiet in here. And then we went out in the second period and just stomped these guys. And so we moved to the finals, and we're playing a young team from Kelowna.
Right.
Like early 20s. And so the finals start, and they're good. Like, they're really good. They're definitely more skilled than us. They're faster than us. But we have Thomas in net, and they don't. And the first period ends up, I think we're maybe just barely ahead, even though we've been outplayed. And Thomas has sort of kept us out in front in the finals. Does that like match up to your memory?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's bang on. Is this the Bulls game we're talking about?
No, this is like Kelowna something. The Bulls is the next year.
Okay, again, my bad. Sorry, go continue.
So it goes into the second period, and then we actually like put a little daylight between us, and this is, I'm going to say it because this doesn't happen every game, but Koski and I both score that game. Mine's an empty netter. There's no goalie, and we win 5-2. And so we win the tournament, and it's kind of like, what in the hell just happened? We're wearing these ridiculous, the tournament's given us jerseys to wear because we don't even have jerseys. But in the finals, we have to wear these tighty whiteys that are just like, mine is absurd. Like, I'm a tiny dude, and somehow I'm wearing something that's like skin tight. And we Benny, you owe me for that, because you were supposed to wear that jersey. I had a white shirt that I had to give to you, you prick. And so we win the tournament, and then some of us ended up actually spending the extra night.
Right.
And we were supposed to go back, but like, this was the last thing we imagined, was winning the tournament. So we stay and we have a good time. I remember Dolly, we're out at what's the good pub in Salmon Arm? Not Setters.
Not Setters, you said?
Yeah, the downtown one that's a restaurant pub. Doesn't even
7-Eleven.
By the way?
7-Eleven.
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 So we win the tournament.
Right.
And
that's a surprise for sure, because that was not the vibe whatsoever. And I think that's sort of what solidified that team, actually, was just no expectation that was even possible.
And Holla, remember we talked about like 1994, you win the tournament and therefore you do it again? Like, we'd stopped, the three of us and other guys, a number of years before, because it had just gotten to the point where we couldn't, we weren't going to win the tournament. You're kind of sometimes losing. I remember coming up against some 20-something-year-old pros, Barley Station,
Nick Rory.
Yeah. And we you knew you weren't going to win anymore, and so you stopped. And now we're we're 40, and you're not thinking let's roll into the competitive and just do this. So it was pretty cool. And Britchy, Koski and I, go ahead, Koski, but we're salmon arm boys who grew up with how much success in our minor hockey?
0. I'd say is probably the right percentage. It was Troy and I, and this is no true story. We got our butts kicked pretty much the whole way through, fully bullied through hockey the whole way, because we're playing Kelowna, Kamloops, Vernon, Penticton, and just by luck of the trade, we happened to be a short breed of salmon arm guys all the same year, playing against towns that were much bigger than us, by population and size, of course. And the game that we won't touch on too much. This is really to add to anything, but put it this way: the worst beatdown we ever had was Kamloops, of course. The Blazers, the whole history of Kamloops is ridiculous. We played Kamloops in Bantam second year, and we lost 22-0 in an actual game against in rep hockey, and we were trying really hard. And at one point, a buddy on that team named Danny Kaiser tried to throw his 135 pounds around and trying to send a message, and they came over a bench. One guy walked over, skated over to the bench and said, "If you want to play that way, we can do that too." And then so we just sort of shut that down too, and we just let him. It was a full beat down. It was humiliating and difficult. So this is kind of the mindset me and Troy have gone into any hockey scenario in our 30s and 40s. So it's not we're not screaming confidence, put it that way.
Guys, the thing I really like about this 2012 victory is that, LWO is family, and you'll hear Mac talk about that all the time. And it was his angle as well when we tried out for Family Feud, which Pebbles was completely unaware of. But listen, LWO is family, and we said it earlier on, what defines LWO is not just the brotherhood off of the rink or the pitch, but it's also winning. And I think and I'm not there in 2012. I'm not a hockey player. I prefer basketball in
a man's sport like basketball. Yeah.
But I'm not there, but I'd like to think that by winning, it really solidifies the legends of hockey as a legitimate offshoot of LWO. And maybe offshoot's not the right word, because it implies that you're not part of LWO. But as sort of the broader family of LWO expands, and now we've got guys who are legends of hockey that weren't necessarily involved with soccer or even from Salmon Arm. It's great that you guys hit it out of the park in 2012, because it legitimizes it. And I think, T, that's kind of what you were saying with, comparing it to the 94 victory with LWO on the pitch or the live wire at the time. That's what's great about being part of the LWO, is that, we can have fun and we can be a bunch of jackasses, and you can dress like a clown on the internet like I am tonight. But at the end of the day, we win championships. And that's really, we're not just a group of clowns. We're a bunch of very serious individuals on the pitch and on the ice. And I think that's a great thing, right? I mean, T-Money, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, we were pretty unique, and you like Britchy and Koski, but we're rocking the soccer merchandise, right? We've got scarves and we've got koozies, and so that's not a hockey thing, right? Hockey is more conservative, I would say, in general. And so a bunch of dudes hit the beer gardens all kitted up, we're wearing, and Gussie had sent me something about this too. It was part of what made us unique, was we're not just playing and winning. We're bringing this different flair that you don't typically see in hockey.
Right.
But the other part of it, though, boys, is that they're nice dudes. Because I remember when I moved to Vancouver and I was playing in rec hockey here, and some guys had that, their teams, and they got their training gear was like us playing in Adam and Fernie. Like they had like matching tracksuits, and they were idiots, and they're terrible people. The difference with the legends, you go to the beer garden, someone will be like, "Oh, what's with you guys?" And 4 minutes later, they'll be buying you guys drinks because they're such good people. That's the difference. There's no pretense to it. It's you'll win with humility, and they're all fundamentally excellent people.
Yeah.
And so after a while, even people want to hate you, and they'll hate you on the ice, but afterwards, they're like, yeah, sorry, I got to buy this guy a slice of pizza.
Or they want your scarf later or whatever, yeah.
Except Didsbury. We never kind of mended the
Didsbury. Something from Didsbury, though. Come on. You're too far for that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Winning, being handsome, being funny, and good drinkers isn't for everyone, and apparently that's where Didsbury fills an important gap in life, gentlemen. I feel like I know them already, and I've never met them in my lives, but you guys have painted a very pretty picture. So 2012, you guys win the championship. You know what? We haven't heard enough from Britchy tonight. I'm gonna go take this one to Britchy. Britchy, what happens next? Like, what's the next step? I mean, you're at the top. You're at the top of your game. Where do you go from there?
I don't know. You know, what's funny? One of the things that T said to me, I think it was around this time, then I guess the next year that I came back, it was one of the first times as my already limited hockey skill quickly, faded away. I resorted more to chirping. And at one point, though, one of the dudes, he just turned around and he was like, "Fuck you, Dad." And all of a sudden, as T said, like, you're literally playing against guys that are half your age.
Yeah,
that's actually a good point. Yeah,
I don't. No, don't you talk to me like that. You wait till you get home. So yeah, it changes things a fair bit. But by that point, like, we've been playing for a few years. We've got a pretty good core. So we've got I would call personality kind of supporting players, like the three key members of the hockey staff that you have on tonight's show. But Thomas, unbelievable. Like, still, in all of my adult days as a hockey player, there's maybe one goalie that could be Thomas's backup, would be about as close as I would say that
really?
Yeah.
Well, you were there.
Unbelievable.
Street hockey gear, and he stopped everything in warm up. So Spilly, yes, 100%. I couldn't believe the show he was putting.
He's very good. He's very good. Yeah,
this is true.
We digress, but he's very good.
But yeah, so we've got our goalie locked down, and then Dalek, and then if Bartman's playing back in particular, we've got a defensive core, and then the rest of us kind of fill in around it. And then up front, T will probably get into this, but we've got our core guys that T has talked about, with Kev and Benny and others, and kind of fill that out. Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Look at this. You can't stop that train.
Like, that's a perfect goalie pose right there. I think he's got all the everything you need.
Yeah. No, in the 80s, that's all the right moves.
Yeah. Pads are solid. They're just above his knee, which is nice.
I think that's a Rawlings on his left hand.
He also is a great baseball player. More people don't know that about Spilly.
Good eye, Scotty. Good eye. It's amazing how slender his thighs are in that photo.
Yeah. Almost a little bit. Actually, I'm a little bit worried about him now. When I look at that picture.
All right, I'll get rid of the photo of Spilly.
That's beautiful.
I think that's everyone can enjoy that.
Inspires me, I'll be honest. I'm kind of fired up now.
Well, and you know what? The other key part, I think, Holla, is that what we ended up doing was, after a while, there's some guys on the team, no one on this call. Sometimes the post-game festivities, they can get pretty extensive. And we said, you know what? We have a team of highly trained, specialized athletes. We need to house them in one central location. Like, where's the best?
Like COVID.
Where's the best place we can do that? And so we ended up staying at the coach's house. And I think that's probably a pretty key part. Diet, exercise, hydration, all of these things are focused upon at Monty's house.
Right.
And it really allowed us just mentally prepare for the
Monty for that.
Yeah, mentally prepare for the game, and everything else is taken care of. All the smokies you can eat.
Britchy, remember a couple of years ago, I arrived a bit late and roll in. You'd beaten us there, the Island guys. And you roll in for, we originally did this at Coolio's, by the way. We'd roll in Friday night to Coolio's. But this is later years, and we roll into Monty's, and they hit me with a double shot of rye. Oh, God. Just about killed me on arrival.
Little one.
Just
So the last couple of years won't take as much, although, is that cool, Holla? We'll move to 2013. Is that cool?
Here's the deal, T. When we planned LWO radio, I think I clearly said to you, the first episode, it's probably going to be about an hour and 20, and then we're going to be under an hour for every episode.
Remember, Koski?
And that has become a running joke with the guests as we go. We're at an hour 20, but here's the breakdown. First of all, legends, if you're running empty, grab a fully, because we got a ways to go. The second thing is there's a global pandemic, which the provincial health officer is telling us not to leave the house. So that is the very definition of a captive audience. The only thing we are working against is intoxication. Like, quite frankly, somebody might pass out on the stream today. It could be any of us. It could be somebody in the chat. But we've got a captive audience. Now, watching it back tomorrow maybe is a different story, but we've got the legends on board, and a big shout out to all the legends who have stuck with us. We're an hour and 20 in, but let's keep going, boys.
Okay, this will get shorter.
Have fun. And by the way, before you go on, I did promise to drop this a few times throughout the show. Stay tuned. We've got the debut of a new Nesman song coming up, and it's gold.
Yeah.
So anyways, back to you, T. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. I'll try to blast through a couple of years, but this is 2013.
See you in a bit,
this is our second year, and Britchy just walked away probably to pee. And Benny's dad, Don, thank you very much. He goes in for the main. We think, like, wearing these tighty whities is not going to cut it. We need jerseys. So the blacks behind me, I think you can see it over my shoulder there. Don is our main contributor to buy the blacks. Britchy also chips in. So we end up with actual jerseys. That's huge. And I remember showing up to the dressing room. Obviously, we know we're in the competitive. We add Adam that year. We had a dude named JC.
Right.
And he's a defenseman. And we add this guy named Rob Butler. Butsy. And he's Ryder's brother-in-law. And also happens to be a friend of my brother. And he was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who, although admittedly a total shit franchise, still, like, puts him a step or two above Koski and I, for instance, hey?
Barely, but true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've added him. And he and my brother know each other and have played together. And Kev is certainly at this stage, he's 7 years older than me. He's still a really good player, but he's even better if you play him with a dude who can score. And that is not me, definitely. So we're actually, on paper, a better team, fair to say, Koski?
Yeah.
Plus, we know what we've got. We know Thomas is really good. So
it's just awareness of what actually the team we have. We're in first year, we had no idea.
And even a guy like Gussie, like, I didn't know how good Gussie was, and Gussie's a really good hockey player. Like, so
Gussie's just one of those guys. My hunch is with Gussie, and, well, I should know better than a hunch by now, but he just seems like he's good at everything he does. He's just that guy.
Yeah, sort of like Mac, right?
Yeah.
So this year we've got three. Yeah, we have 3 lines in 4D. Like the year before, we've gone. So Kev's going to be paired with Butsy, and we got a good line with Benny and Gussie, Benny and Gussie and Mac, and then we got you and Ryder and John Bootsma.
Right.
And so we just kill teams. Like, it's just ridiculous, and we won't go too deep into them. But we play a pretty weak team from Kamloops in our first game, and we beat them. We shut them out. It's not a crazy score. It's like somewhere between 5 and 7 to nothing, but we shut them out. And the second game is against Didsbury. And we won't go into crazy detail about this game, but we got Didsbury again.
Right.
And now they know, probably from our scarves and stuff, like that, like
they were likable.
Yeah, they don't like us.
No.
And the opposite of that. And we're pumped though. Like we're like, it's not like we know that the last game we beat them, but we also know that they were the champs, and we know that their goalie got hurt, so we know they're good. And we just absolutely blow their doors off. It's like something like 9-0. And to sort of rub salt in the wound, and I know it's a shutout for sure, because I know on that Saturday we don't give up any goals. And late in the game, Thomas does like this double pad stack, like Kirk McLean from the Canucks Stanley Cup Finals run against the Flames back in '94, to keep it like a shutout.
Like
and once he scores, yeah,
it was pretty special. I mean, the weird thing is, Troy, you said that, I forgot about that moment when we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, strangely, that was actually a very inspirational moment for the bench, because we really didn't like Didsbury at that time, and it was like a double stack save, like just a beauty at what it was, I don't know, 7-8, 9-0. I don't know what the score was, but it still felt good, which is weird actually when I think about it now, but it did feel good.
Oh, and Coolio saying that's the year they bust out the Dragon jerseys. Fucking
right.
And so like, and we just kill them, right? Like just mercilessly kill them. And Rob Butsy scores 3 or 4 goals, and like he and Kevin are killing them. And yeah, like if you could get more than a 5-goal lead, you see all these comments. If you get more than a 5-goal lead, it goes to running time. And so that was always a goal of ours, and like some of these high years was to get it to running time.
Right.
And there's guys like Koski and I who have grown up getting beatdowns, thinking like we need to get this so that we can make sure we win this game.
Always nervous. We're very nervous. We're nervous Nelly's on the bench. 5-0, 6-0, not enough. We need more. We need more. It was always literally we'd look at each other in the eyes on the bench and be like, "This is not enough, Troy. This is not enough. We need more."
So we just killed them. And I remember we went to Coolio's that evening and just ripped it up and had a nice time. And trying to keep this short, we go to the semis. And Koski, you're going to recall this. So we go to the semis. I don't remember who we play.
Yeah.
And Holla, we talked a little bit about this before, but we've got this one particular gentleman. And do you want to cut in here, Holla, at all, or should I?
Are we going to question time already?
It's almost a question. This is a question that queues up for Koski quite well here.
Yeah. I think we note it and we move through, because I think that's a question that really makes a lot of sense when we sort of come to near the end of this segment.
Okay, so we won't really deal with it.
We good with that?
Yeah, we'll come back to it then.
Yeah.
So we win our semi. Let's just move on. We win our semi. The game is pretty uneventful. We win it fairly handily, just as the tournament is gone. And we get to the finals against a team called the Salmon Arm Bulls. And I was double checking with Coolio and Dalek, and they were a good team. They had like Mushluck or something that was on Making the Cut, which was like one of those where you were trying to get an NHL tryout. Britchy, Koski, you remember that?
Yeah, I absolutely remember that. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah.
Big tall guy, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
And they'd crushed to get to the finals. So we knew we were playing a really good team in the finals, and we beat them 8-1. So it was just a year of trouncings and
magic.
So we'll keep going. So we've gone back to back. And the next year is kind of a funny year because Thomas gets hurt. Who else? We don't get Butsy back.
Was that Dalek hurt that year? Or is that
No, Dalek's there that year.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll just brush through to give Didsbury a little bit. We make the finals. It's a pretty crazy draw. We play a good team. I think it's the Canoe Bears, but I'm not positive. They're one of the better Salmon Arm teams. We play them in the semis Sunday morning, and we beat them in a really tough, close game. And this isn't like we're not killing teams this year. It's like we're grinding out victories. And we beat them, and we move to the finals, and there is 0 break. We literally skate from the one sheet across the ice, through the dressing room, walk over to the other, and we have to play Didsbury immediately in the finals. And which is terrible. And we fall behind 4-0. And that's in the second period. We're down 4-0, second period out of 2. And it's either Gussie or somebody scores, and you just kind of feel it. It's like, it's like it's not over. And I remember being the shift after Gussie had scored or whoever, and being on the ice, being like saying to Disbury, it's not over. And there's like 10 minutes left, but you're like, it's not over. Like, it's on now. And it just sort of snowballed. And that year, our best line was Ben and Gussie and Mac. They were shouldering a lot of the offensive load. But we got it back to it. We lost by a goal, and it was a rare time. Koski, what do you remember that?
Yeah, no, yeah. Honestly, what I remember that game was that it was down 4-0. You just won, previously 2 tournaments, so you got a little bit of pride. You want to go for the three-peat. That whole feeling of we can do this. We're down 4-0, so you're feeling a little, oh crap, we overestimated ourselves. What I did find, though, I'm pretty sure it was Gussie scored that goal, and it might have been Gussie, and maybe it was you. There's a few guys on the bench, though. That first goal that got scored made it 4-1. It was like maybe early in the sort of second half, maybe 10 minutes to go, and somebody was like, "It's not over, boys. Let's go." And it was like the vibe on the bench. Honestly, it's the best I've experienced in sports. Was like, "It's not over, boys. It's not over," and suddenly just sort of snowball where like everybody started getting that vibe of like, you know what, we can possibly do this. And it didn't really make any sense. We're missing the best goalie we've ever played with. And somehow we managed to get to 4-3. And I do remember at the very end, there was some havoc. It was a power play or something that went sideways. And we might even scored and it was disallowed or something weird happened. I can't remember exactly. Troy, you might remember better than me. You're better at this.
I think they might. Yeah, the end of the game honestly is fuzzy for me too. I think we get it to 1, and maybe they score an empty netter, and then we score another one, and we get it back to. Yeah, we get it back to a goal. Britchy, do you remember?
No, I can't remember the year, but also because this was fairly defining. What year was it where Coolio got just totally concussed and came to the bench and was like, yeah, I'm going back out?
That might be the year, actually.
Was it this year? And then we're all like, are you have your bad idea jeans on? Like, no. He's like, no, I'm good. Watch this. We're like, hey, what's your name? He's like, Susie. We're like, oh, you can't even talk.
Yeah, that actually triggers to me too. Just a quick from the year before when we beat them 9-0 or whatever. Right. Near the end of the game, we score another goal, and Coolio's on the ice, and one of their guys is like, just a bunch of fucking soccer players.
Right.
What the hell? That doesn't we're up 9-0. What do you mean we're just a bunch of soccer players?
Yeah, you're getting your ass kicked by a bunch of freaking soccer players.
You guys were beating them so badly they forgot how to trash talk.
Yeah.
They got good.
Okay, so this is where I said we would, and so they win. Credit to Disbury, they do win that year. And so now we go into the last year that we're going to talk about here, and we won't talk much about it, but it's 2015. And just like Gussie brought Thomas in, Gussie brings Ty in. And before we get into the games, Britchy and Koski, Ty.
Here, I'll do my quick explanation how people. I will explain. I will explain Ty. Ty could be standing like on the hash marks on one leg and do it like a snapshot.
Yeah.
And I could skate to the other end of the ice, stop, skate the whole way, do my hardest slap shot, and I still think it would be about 15% as hard as his snapshot. Like it is.
Yeah.
It is
incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's offensive. Yeah. But if he's on your team, it's wonderful. Like him and Thomas, if they had a baby, if there was a freeway with Dolly, Thomas, and Tyrell, perfect. What a lovely child.
Yeah, I like to watch that.
Yeah. My mind of Ty was, and he's clearly the best offensive player. I mean, a lot of great players, and I'm not going to say he's above and beyond, but he was just the way he played, and I think back to Britchy's point, his shot. I think all the guys on the bench and probably everybody here remembers Britchy and Troy, that is, and the guys online, Bartman probably remembers this one. Is he comes, I think, just before the blue line or after the blue line? It's a wrister, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like a freaking laser crossbarring in. The goalie doesn't even move. Like, it was just, and I think we're up like what, 5-6-0 at that point.
That's the finals. Yeah.
And it was like, he's just kind of going, oh, for shits and giggles, I'll just shoot the puck. And it's a fucking rifle. And it's one of those things where you're on the bench, we're going, not even like cheering, because you're like, you don't want to be unsportsmanlike, but almost like, holy crap, like that's really good. And the other bench, you could tell, was like, are you kidding me? It was just like, it's kind of next level sports, right? It was and it was that 1 year he played, but it was amazing, the whole tournament.
Well, it's also for guys like, the more skilled guys, like for the D-men and Thomas, they've got someone. And then for the forwards, like Kev's like, oh my God, I just felt it move. Like, right. All right, this is great. And he loves us, but he likes playing with this guy a lot.
Yeah. Totally. He was full finish. You give him the puck, he was going to bury it. It was unbelievable.
So I think that was interesting. Somebody just said something about Ty might have scored more than the teams we played. So I'll move really quickly through that. We win our first game, and it's against a really good team. They had the Silverbacks jersey. They're a combo they were like Williams Lake Salmon Arm Huskies, and Coolio and Dolick knew them, and they warned us going in, this is a good team, boys. Like, don't take these guys lightly. And we beat them 7-2. And our second game was against a Kamloops team they were weak, and we beat them 9-2, and they scored 2 late ones. I think we were up 9-0 on them. And unlike other years, we were supposed to play Didsbury in a round robin game. By the way, Ty's got 5 goals through the 2 games, and I'm on the line with him and Kevin which means like I'm passing the puck to Kevin, who passes the puck to Ty, who scores. And so Ty's got 5 through those 2 games. And against Kamloops, when we were like clearly the better team, Ty was on the bench being like,
I think Thomas had 4 assists that game, wasn't that? Is that true?
Yeah. Like Ty's like, yeah, Thomas is back that year. So and Ty's like, let's let up. Like, we can't we're not going to beat these guys by 15. And so we're going to play Didsbury next in the round robin, but they're also 2-0. And so I remember going down to the dressing room Saturday night to talk to them and saying, stupid, like, let's just play in the finals tomorrow. Let's not play a round robin game and then have to play each other again in the finals. And they were cool with that. So we just went straight to the finals Sunday morning. And this Koski is like skate sharpener, the team bus, the fucking ragged jerseys, and they beat us the year before. So like we want them bad, right? And they probably want us bad too, but like they don't know who Ty is, and we got Thomas back, and it's just a different attitude. And I remember like just out of the gates, Benny's line goes out first, and they don't score. Ty scores on the next shift, and that puts us up 1-0. And for the only time in my entire life, same shift, I hit both posts, and it doesn't go in. The goalie reaches behind him and like sits on it. Right. And so Koski's line comes out for the draw. This is a minute into the game, 2 minutes into the game. Koski's line comes out for the draw, and Koski scores like you tip it or something, or score on a rebound or something. Do you remember?
Probably. I don't really remember. I'm sure the beauty of a goal. If I know myself, I probably a solid shot off my butt and into the net. I don't remember.
So we're up 2-0, and we steamrolled them like it's blowout. And I remember being on the bench at one point, and Ty scores 4, and I think we've kind of covered it, and they're all from Kevin. Ty scores 9 goals in that tournament, and they're all from Kevin. Every single goal is an assist from Kevin. Like and it's the perfect combo, because playing with Kevin, and obviously I'm biased, but he's really easy to get the puck to. He just has a good read on like making himself available to get the puck to, and he's also smart enough to know that like if I'm open and Ty's open, like I'm never going to pass it to Troy. And like so like in the offensive zone, I never saw the puck, but I was cool with that.
Well, I mean, I think a quick story with Kevin on this one, I think this is a pretty true factual story, is up till whatever year, but you'd know better than me, but when Kevin quit BCJHL, was the leading assist guy all time in the BCJHL. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. He was the all-time assist leader in the BCHL.
Yeah. Like a playmaker, as good as any.
Mhm.
So at this point, why are we playing soccer? I don't know if you guys understand this, but I was brought into the Legends of Hockey at one point. As I have a shirt that says so. I don't think I've ever skated even before playing on this team, but I was welcomed with open arms. But I'm not as sore after these games as I am after like 4 games of soccer. Is just awful on an old decrepit man's body. So honestly, you're having so much success with hockey and just running up scores, et cetera. Why are we playing soccer? Is it just because the Glanvilles are so handsome? Do we, Monty makes the trip down anyway. Like we see them. Like, why are we doing this?
Because notice, Scotty, that we end this segment at 2015.
There's a timing thing on this. There's a special window of time.
These are open tournaments, so you're playing 20-something-year-olds.
Yeah.
AT.
Yeah. Good answer. Good answer.
So 1 hour and 41 minutes in, and we're at 2015.
This is the end of the hockey stuff, though.
I don't think it is. I think we got more.
Well,
it's good.
Britchy,
we're good.
I think we should talk, and I'm going to lob this one out about just dressing room vibe, playlist, that sort of stuff.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, no, I like that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as you get a little bit older, like you've got teams you play on, and I'm pretty fortunate in Vancouver. I've got a couple of good groups that I play with, but I've always found the legends in particular, and because Troy and I went to school together, and I'd been prior to the hockey out with the soccer guys a whole bunch. The beer gardens, as I said, are pretty legendary. Including like I think the first time that I met Spilly, we were at the Live Wire in Salmon Arm, and T had to leave. They were playing the next day, and I'm not playing. I'm there just there for the entertainment. And T's like, "Don't worry, my buddy Spilly will take care of you." I'm like, "Okay." So I know nobody in Salmon Arm. And bar closes. I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna look for Spilly." And I asked someone, "Hey, do you know where Rich is?" "Oh no, sorry, he left with this girl." I'm like, "Oh, okay." But the après with soccer, unbelievable.
Yeah,
like an incredible group, and it takes nothing. You'll play with guys, like you'll meet them that weekend and friends for life. Absolutely. So walking in the dressing room, it's never been, oh, hey, good to see you again this year. Hugs all around, family straight away, win or lose, usually winning. Come on, here we go. Up until 2015. And so, yeah, and the music, like if you're walking by the dressing room, if I don't know the team initially, I'm like, that's bullshit. They did not build this city on rock and roll, but that's what's coming out, right? And it's for us, everyone in the dressing room, you love it. You love it.
Yeah.
No, the vibe's incredible group. It could be 1 year, it could be 10 years until you've seen the guys, but the love's still there.
Let's do some rapid fire questions because I love that vibe, Britchy, and it's actually been a bit of a theme throughout these episodes that I've found out as we've gone. I mean, we're on episode 4, but there is something magical about LWO that keeps us all tied together, and the way you said it was just beautiful. I think in that the tightness of the group and the fact that you get a warm hug in the beer garden, whether you want one or not, it's coming. Is so magical. So I'm gonna go around. I'd like you guys each to answer a couple questions, just some rapid fire questions. T, I'm gonna go to you first. And hopefully you didn't ask this question while I was doing a bit of a pee break there. But the first question I'd like to ask for you, T, is which legend on this specific podcast has the most single game goals while wearing a Legends jersey?
Good
It's
question.
a trivia question.
Wow.
I bet you Mac knows the answer because Mac is good with this stuff.
This is a tricky one, and it's while wearing a Legends jersey. I like that. So once I scored 2 and Koski scored 2 in the first year. I recall you won a player of the game in the first year, or legend of the game, or whatever. Got a sleeve of golf balls, I remember, Koski. Britchy, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you haven't scored 2 in a game.
I think that's a safe bet. I think that's a safe bet. But like, if it's like, who's got more than 7 penalties in a game?
True. Like, you got to shout out to where the credit. Yeah.
But this is sneaking in. This was just Holla framed it, and I'm gonna, as a with my profession, I'm gonna go with this. Most goals wearing the jersey. It's none other than Scotty Rimek. Scotty Rimek scored 3 goals against the Whalers in the Victoria League.
Drink to that.
Surprise answer.
While wearing a jersey.
Yeah.
Surprise upset.
True story. I played a lot of street hockey growing up. Never played ice hockey. The only time I've ever touched a puck with a stick was the very first game we played together. So I was probably really, really good. But somehow in one game, some guys banked 3 pucks off me. Hat trick. True story.
Incredible story, Scotty.
It was Div 1 of the Spring League in Victoria. And Mac and I were on Scotty's line.
I love it. Koski, I'm coming to you next for the next question. Many of you guys have been watching The Last Dance with Michael Jordan on Netflix. It's a great series if you haven't checked it out. Jordan, he's against the Utah Jazz. He's got the flu game. Who, in terms of LWO legends of hockey, has had something similar in terms of the flu game, the Jordan flu game?
Honestly, Holla, great setup on that one. Off the top of my mind, there's just one guy that comes to mind. It's Mac Daddy, of course. It's the 2013 semifinals. If we can win this goddamn game, we can play Doucheberry in the final one more time, which is important. Anybody knows me, and the whole Jordan series, I think, is a great segue because I'm obviously I know basketball, or at least I'm familiar with it, and definitely have sunk a couple layups over the years. In 2013, we're now into second year now. We've won the first year, a bit of a surprise. Finally, we're now in the semifinals. Unfortunately, this is now Sunday morning. Typical of LWO. I got to say, this was the one thing I appreciate about the team more than anything else. It's probably the most impressive thing we do. Nothing is half-assed. Winning is not half-assed. If we're at a beer gardens, not half-assed. If we're at a pub, everything is full on. So you can't win and just sort of sip your beers most nights. And it's all about winning is super important. Don't get me wrong. It's right up there. But if you win without actually putting everything else together, it almost doesn't feel right. So it's for us, it's you better put in a show the night before and you better win. It's both. They go hand in hand. It's like a glove and a hand. So anyways, so Mac has a good night out on 2013, maybe one of his better nights in the last 20 years. And he shows up late for the game, and we're like, where's Mac? He's not usually late. Similar to Jordan, kind of wondering what happened. Jordan, it turns out from again, my basketball background, that he's got some flu-like symptoms, and it's not pizza apparently. It's not food poisoning.
Just the crust.
Just the crust. And so we're thinking maybe alcohol. Again, I might be reaching, I don't know. So he shows up, he's dragging his bag. There's no wheels on the bag. He's just dragging the bag. And we're all semi-dressed by the time he rolls in. Gets in there, we're like, hey, Mac Dad, he's normally the life of the dressing room. Always got a lot of positive, good stuff to say. Nothing. He's just looking like death. Gets on the bench. Everybody keeps talking. Stuff's happening. Mac's on the side, and honestly, for me, as a buddy of Mac, I was like, is he okay? Is everything okay? And he just sat there for a bit looking at his shoes, and at some point I think we're about 5 minutes before the game starts, and he's now got his checkerboard sneakers off, and I'm like, okay, there's a chance. But honestly, in the history of all the sports I've ever played in, I've never seen a guy more beat down, more abused. I just thought there's no freaking way he's playing. And that's where it goes back to the Jordan flu game, where I was like, if he could pull this off, it'd be special. But I'm not going to happen. somehow, again, magically, he gets onto the warm-up, and like probably maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes late, but still he shows up for the warm-up. He's like got his I don't use my hand here, but he's like skating kind of like one hand on his stick like this and up at the rafters. And he's you do the little shoot around, doesn't touch a puck for sure. Couple dry heaves on the side. I'm pretty sure no stretching of any kind. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I appreciate it, Mac, what you're trying to do for the team, like, which is it's next level. But this is crazy. Like, you can't do this. You're done. Like, it's not going to happen today. And I didn't say that to him because it's Mac, so I didn't want to be disrespectful. But anyways, he gets on the bench. I think they were first or second line up, and I think they might put him to third line, thinking, well, shit, like it's. And so, anyways, he gets out there, and the game starts, and like a bell ringing at a fire hall, he just goes. It's impressive. He I don't know if he scores a goal every shift, but he scores a lot. He does. He does. Is that an exaggeration, Troy? I don't know if I.
No, it's factually accurate.
Maybe an assist once in a while, but lots of points. He does really well. And by the end of the game, like, he's racked up the points. We win the game. Max obviously key to the win, which, we're all blown away, similar to the Jordan Utah 97 finals. And probably the most special moment for me, actually, when I think about it now, is like at the end of the game, Max standing at center ice right on the red dot there, and he can barely stand. Like, he's bent it all. And Troy, one of his best buddies, skates over there to him, throws him on his shoulder, and takes him to the dressing room, which I thought was pretty. And it reminded me a lot of Pippen getting Jordan off the court. It was, I don't know, Troy, would that seem familiar at all to you? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't recall that part, but now that you say it, right. I definitely recall it. And
it was impressive. Like, and I know it took a lot for you to do that, but it was a very special moment for me. And nice little story for the semifinal of that year.
I'm digging the basketball references.
Yeah,
Benny, 76ers, Benny. All right, good stuff, Mac. And
by the way.
Yeah, anyone who knows Mac on the soccer pitch has seen him rally after a tourney ham dog.
I've seen Sarah put on his cleats for him more than one time. So this isn't a one-time thing.
There were some comments in the chat. Nice work. I see the chat has digressed a bit in terms of trying to figure out who owes who a keg from last episode. But let's move on. Britchy, I'm coming to you next.
Right, I'm here.
We've heard a few stories, and certainly hockey is a rough and tumble sport. I think a lot of guys have been cross-checked. A lot of guys have probably broken their nose, broken bones. They've really come out looking a lot in terms of worse for wear.
But not this handsome group. I mean, just look at these visages. Look at these faces.
Listen, I'm just going to say it outright that there's going to be a lot of screen caps of that mustache.
Gorgeous.
Over the next little bit. I mean, that's just the bottom line. But in your experience with the Legends of Hockey, what's the worst rough and tumble situation that you had, or the guys on the panel have been a part of? Walk me through that. What's going on?
I don't have a direct experience, but I watched some of this. So let me tell you, I'll give you a segment of how it ultimately transpired. So we played in Victoria last year. We were voted best drumline, best sunglassed for the three people on the panel, but not necessarily. You didn't come out with what most people would call a win tournament. And one day we were at the rink, and one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name, he might have been from Fernie, it's hard to say, who knows. And he is like, "Oh my God, like I just got crushed yesterday. I feel like that guy ran over me. I feel like I've been hit by a truck." And someone jumped in like, "Yeah, you got hit by a cab." And this guy, he didn't even really appreciate it. From time to time, someone may get hit by a cab. They bounce back. There's a doctor on hand. They're okay. They still can't move their shoulder properly, but it's fine. You had a good run. You've got one good shoulder. Sorry.
You've become a podcast legend, and it happens to happens to the best of us. So no worries.
But otherwise, we don't get hit that much because as defensemen, I've been challenged many times, and then I just hope that I'm playing with Dolly on that particular line, and someone's like, "I'm going to kill you." I'm like, "Probably me, but not him." And he usually ends up okay.
I love it. Now, for those of you who stuck with us, 4 episodes now, I've asked this question of our guests. I'm not going to ask Scotty. I'm not going to ask T-Money because T-Money, you've been on and we've answered this. I'm going to start with Britchy because Koski's taking a dump. Well done. So I'm going to start with you, Britchy. At some point, and I think you really touched on it. You talked about the beer garden earlier, but we really need to spell this stuff out. At some point, you realize this is for life. You realize that there's something special about the legends, and you realize that there's some magic in these boys. When was it for you? What was the magic, and what would you say makes? Maybe this is a question. What would you say makes the legends special?
You know what? I could say what I would say, but I actually don't have to. I can paraphrase what another guy told me when he came in and kind of experienced it before. We had I don't even know what year it is. T'd probably remember, but we had a fill-in guy came in due to injury one year, allowed to bring someone in for a game. In his day, a pretty incredible player. I think he was drafted like 4th or 5th round in the NHL draft. And I hadn't played for, he's probably in his mid-20s by that point. We played in the game. I can't remember how it turned out. He was sitting beside me, and in fairness to myself, I was not quite Mac Daddy, but I was not entirely far off. I had a long evening prior. I might have missed warm-up, might have arrived reasonably late, didn't get a chance to talk to this gentleman before. And anyway, afterwards, did talk to him loads, and unprompted, he we're just chatting. He's like, "Do you guys know why you're good?" What? Sorry, I didn't. You're not good. What? Like, I'm not good? No, you in particular are not good. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I get it. And he's like, "But you know why you guys win this tournament so much?" And again, like, I hadn't barely talked to this guy, and I said, he's like, "Because you're a team. Like, you have, like, this team is incredible. You can tell you're a team of friends. If someone goes in a corner and someone goes after him, he's going to have 3 guys on him in a second. Like, you guys are so lucky to have this, whatever this is, because a lot of people don't have this as teams, and a lot of people don't have this in their life." And it was funny because I hadn't talked to this guy literally at all, and he was quiet. He just kind of came out and spat it out. And I talked to Troy afterwards. I'm like, that's pretty telling when you think about it. Like, someone walks into the dressing room, and sure, like the 17 free Pilsners that we gave him probably helped. It's pretty telling.
I think that's a great story. And Koski, welcome back. I think that is, it's true that, we do have a lot of skill as athletes. But it is that thing that we've been talking about, that magic, that fact that we've got each other's backs and we're great friends. And I appreciate you sharing that story, Britchy. That's been great. I'm going to go to Koski before we move on. I want to ask him, Koski, as you know, I got to repeat the question because you're off cam when I did it. But Koski, as you know, every episode I ask the guests, LWOs for life. At what point is it solid for you? Like, do you know, like, this is a lifelong commitment? There's magic in this group of guys. Where, can you just tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's a heavy one, but probably starts you know, it starts with the soccer side clearly, because it doesn't happen on the soccer side. So 94, me and Troy both played 94, and it's kind of like this mixed bag group, very similar story to the hockey story. And you know, as Troy pointed out earlier, we didn't play a lot. I think the last year I played was grade 7 or 8. I think I played a bit of 92, but not much. And then 94 shows up, and Troy and I have a chat, and we're like, because we just being pretty recent buddies, right? Troy, like SFU, we kind of,
Totally.
I didn't know anybody. Him and Luke were living together, and I was like, hey, Sam Arm guys, great. And then, but me and Troy hit it off right away. Wayne Gretzky, I should probably give him a credit. He needs more advertising there. There we go. And so Troy and I immediately hit off. I think we kind of always knew of each other. Well, we definitely knew of each other, but it was like, I think our Gretzky passion melded us. Like, it was like, that was the key. And so, but the soccer thing was like this different thing. And, but we're like, oh, you know, we should do it. So anyways, we ended up going playing soccer, and strangely ended up in this 94 tournament. And Monty and I have known each other since grade 2, and I've known all the Walters guys. So I was kind of just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And next thing you know, we're in this tournament. And as Troy and I have talked about, definitely we were not key cogs in that tournament, but we were part of it. And somehow we win. And that honestly just sort of changed the trajectory. And then it's that feeling of you don't have a chance, and then winning with a bunch of guys you just love to hang out with, and the bit of adversity that creates. I think that changed the whole situation. And then I think into the hockey scene, very similar story. We go in thinking we're in a rec training, just have some fun, some guys, and turn to the competitive side, and we win. So for me, that was kind of, there's not a lot of difference between the soccer and hockey side as far as the vibe. It's very similar. There's, of course, 2 different sports, but honestly, half the guys are the same, and the vibe is 100% the same.
I think that's the biggest part, is it's to be a part, whether it's a big part, a small part. Like, again, we've talked about the Thomases, the Daleks, the Bartmans on defense, the Kevs, the Ties, the Bennies, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, it's, the parts all come together, and that becomes more important. And
Ryder had a good one, guys, and I know with time in mind, but Ryder was saying we don't expect Ryder to be tied. We expect the best from Ryder of Ryder, you know, and like, so I think that's right. You know, I know going out that I'm not going to score a ton of goals. You know, I know what my job is, and you just try to do the best you can at your job.
Yeah. Know your role kind of thing. And to a next level, though, it's like everybody, there's no ego whatsoever. It's like, if we can win, I can sit on the bench the whole game. Like Britchy is injured. I'm sure you enjoyed that first victory injured on the bench as much as we did playing, and as any other victory we won. Like, I'm sure that made a difference.
Well, I ran a tab at the concession, so yeah, it was awesome. But the other part too, though, is part of that. Like, there's been other games where you'll be like, Ryder pop 3, like, you know,
yeah, true. Yeah,
contribute in their own way. Like, Thomas always has to be excellent. This is a standard.
That's a fact. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a group. It's an incredible group for sure.
It's a shout out to the chat right now, who is in full on civil war about the Jackson reveal. So
I'm like way at the beginning.
I'm just glad you're still with us at 2 hours and 3 minutes, because we still have some content.
The Jackson reveal.
But it does feel like the origins, the legends of hockey has come to a close. I did forget to mention this. I think when we showed the drumline video at the beginning, you could find that on our YouTube channel. That was a result of Mac Daddy's careful planning. So a big shout out to Mac Daddy for that one. And if you enjoyed the drumline, like I said, check it out on our YouTube channel. You can just throw that sucker on repeat and enjoy every single beat. So with that, gentlemen, I'd like to close the segment Origins, the Legends of Hockey, and we're going to move it on. This week, we're going to skip right over Where Are They Now and Who Wore It Better. We don't have those segments for you. And we're going to go right into legendary announcements. And the first one that I'd like to announce is that we have another legend of LWO celebrating a birthday upcoming. That's right. On May 12th, just 4 days away. Guy is celebrating his 49th birthday. Happy birthday, Guy! And still an active legend in the LWO scene. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's the oldest active member
on the soccer side.
On the soccer side. So a very happy birthday, Guy, and a shout out to you, my friend. The next announcement is that we will be back with LWO Radio next week. Just 2 episodes left. So I have a feeling that despite the fact that we ran long today, you will appreciate the fact that there's a lot of content when we're gone. See, I'm kind of working that magic. Just 2 episodes left. Next week, of course, we're going to relive the magic of the 2019 2 championship tournament from Vernon.
I can't wait.
It's going to be a great episode. I think we got Perry, we got Atomizer, we got Glanville coming on.
If you guys find my scarf, can you send it back?
Too late in the game to be
Alec has it.
Literally 50 weeks after we did that. But you know, who knows? Maybe your scarf will turn up.
Single moms are hoarders. Single moms are hoarders.
I know.
And of course, the Legends of Hockey will be hoping that you can't beat 20 Mississippis in a boat race. But listen, I can't hold this any longer. You tuned in, you've stayed with us. There's 17 of you still viewing live. God bless you all. But there's 17 of you viewing live, and I know what you're waiting for. You are waiting for a world premiere. Koski, that's your cue.
Yeah.
He's got to go poo again.
Premiere. Nessman's song. Legends Attack. And to introduce you, I'm going to go to Scotty.
Why not? Hey, I'm still here. I'm still standing. Let's introduce this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, and all the dozens upon dozens of viewers tuning in live from all corners of the globe. You asked LWO Radio for the best. You wanted the best. You demanded the best, and you deserve the best. Well, the best couldn't be here, so here's what you get. Joining us all the way from beautiful Canoe, British Columbia, Brent Koskamaki.
Woo! Woo! Play for the Legends, baby. We're gonna smoke all your dope. Gonna steal your women, 'cause they just can't say no. Play for the Legends, baby. Gonna drink all your booze. Wearing the black and yellow. Hell, we just can't lose. It was early Saturday morning. I was talking to T. We were playing Didsbury, those fucking ugly jerseys. Halfway through the game, boy, we were up by 3. By the time the smoke cleared, another Legends victory. Play for the Legends, baby. We're gonna smoke all your dope. Gonna steal all your women, 'cause they just can't say no. Play for the Legends, baby. Gonna drink all your booze. In the black and yellow, that we just can't lose. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no. Holla! We're gonna ride forever, 'cause that is what we do. We are the Legends, Sonny. Who the hell are you? Oh, we're Play for the legends, baby. Gonna smoke all your dope. Gonna steal your women, 'cause they just can't say no. Play for the legends, baby. Gonna drink all your booze. Wearing the black and yellow. We just can't lose. Oh, nah. There you go.
Nailed it, boys. Nailed it. Fantastic song. And I know for those who will be looking for it after the show, we do have an MP3 version for you, legends. All you have to do is shoot us out an email. In fact, we might just spam it out. We'll get T-Money to spam that out for you, because you will have that on repeat all weekend long, all year long. Unbelievable. And a big thanks to Koski of the Nesmans for debuting that.
Beautiful, Koski. Beautiful.
Fantastic. And for those of you who are wondering, the MP3 does not include my solo. That was a bit of a freestyle, but that's what musicians do. They jam.
Well, we should probably do one more take. Make that happen.
There's no
get the freestyle.
There's no doing that again, man. That was from the heart.
Sure, now, so we got that.
That was from the heart. Like I said, legends, that is how we do it on LWO Radio. We bring you content, and we reward you for sticking with us here. Another fantastic first on LWO Radio. You know, without further ado, I think you know what time it is. It's time to do our shout outs. And I think I'm going to go to Britchy first on this one. Who are you shouting out this week, Britchy?
You know what? I'm going to go back to the defensive core. Normally, if we're playing with 4D, he's 25% of our defensemen. Sorry, I got to run, carry the one.
Good man.
97% of our defensive offense, and probably about 70% of our defensive offense is Dave Dollick. The only, Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, the only legend who has lived and played professionally in France.
As far as I know.
Yeah. So Dolly, I think he's dug me out of several holes on the ice and prevented me from getting killed more than 16 or 13,000 times. So a big shout out to Dave Dollick. And with that, when he's back with us, I got to give, I think there may be another one later, but I got to give Bartman a shout out as well. Those are salmon arm additions that are a very big defensive core, a big part of the defensive core, defensive stalwarts on the Legends team. So those are my shout outs, Dolly and Bartman.
I love it. I love the Bartman hat. Bartman hook a brother
Sorry,
up.
As a related question or a related point, the Bartman hat came, we were probably at Monty's one time, and probably, as these evenings go, pretty deep into it, 6 to 8 Smokies in. And I was like, oh, that's a nice hat. Bartman, no joke, was like, yeah, takes off the hat, in part because he's like, I hate your home perm, puts it on my head. Done. Like this, done. I'm like, no, I'm not taking your hat. He's like, take my hat. Take your hat. Done. Oh yeah, okay, I'll take it. Done.
The motivation does not matter.
Yeah. Please don't rate me.
A selfless act.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love it. I'm gonna go to T-Money next. T-Money, shout out for this episode.
I'm gonna close out that Bartman one and just say, Bartman, if we ever do a text chain of 17 or more guys, you're in on the text chain, Barbs.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so my shout out will be, it's kind of lame, but to my brother, Kev. It was a lot of fun. Kev's 7 years older than me. I spent my youth in a vehicle with my dad mostly, and often my mom driving around watching Kev play all over BC and sleeping in the car on the way home. So it was a lot of fun playing on Kev's line for those years and passing him the puck and then watching him pass the puck to somebody better to score.
Glad you didn't go to prison, Kev.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, he's probably the one, he's one of those guys in his we'll call him like a few years older than us, in the early 50s, who's like not lost a touch on his passes. Like it's actually quite unbelievable.
I love it. That's a good shout out. Koski, going to you next for your shout out. Who are you shouting out?
So I got a couple guys. Number one, is my Nessman partner, Mr. Spilly. I kind of refer to him as my Lord and Savior, Spilly Benson, without whom none of this would be possible. Again, it was unfortunate he couldn't have been. There he is, perfect. And you, Holla, guys looking so good. If there's any way to have him on online here, it would have been perfect. But the guy's too busy being a doctor. He's my musical soulmate, and he's my Jagger to my Richards, or vice versa. We're both got our issues. Ryder Petch is the other number 2 guy. Ryder. All you have to say is Ryder Petch, and everybody just smiles. He's that guy. He's a true 10, like his jersey. In this crazy ass world, he can. In my mind, I always think he can butt at me anytime during a drum line, and I'm totally okay with that. And I've actually thought this for years and years, and I always thought if Ryder Petch dated one of my sisters, I would actually tell my sister, "Don't fuck this up, and don't be an asshole." That was always what I thought of Ryder Petch, like a highest of quality guys, the best of the best.
Now you might add he's married with 3 kids. So.
Yeah, and Chris is amazing. I'm just saying that was years ago. We're talking. Yeah.
Great shout out, Koski. Nice work. Scotty Too Hottie, who's your shout out this week?
I'll try to be as quick as I can on this. As many know, I do a couple of fun fundraisers for muscular dystrophy, and everyone in the LWO community has stepped up and participated. So I can't just single out just the best of the best. Everyone's done a ton. There's people that have been highs and lows, but I'm just going to pick out a couple really quick. Murray Hurlbert, I barely met him, but he's really nice to talk to every single time, and he always donates a ton of money. So Murray needs to be acknowledged for that. I need to acknowledge Sam Yeager. Again, if anything happens, whether it's something I'm doing, whether it's a football pool or anything, the first e-transfer I always get is from Sammy. So thank you, Sammy, for that. It can't be topped. The only problem is when Sammy first started his e-transfers, he would always make a spelling mistake in his question. So it was really tough to get the money. But he's not the worst. The worst, Mr. Levi Cooperman, the Predator. So I don't think I've ever actually met Levi. Maybe I've run into him in a Vernon tournament. There's a good chance. But I think, in talking to him, the first time we actually physically met was at the 25th anniversary. And Levi, right away, he answered when I said I was going to do a fundraiser for MD. He was one of the first people that just sent me money. He doesn't know me from anyone, but he's a part of this group, the LWO group. That's a big deal. And he's like, well, if he's a part, then I got to give him money. Mm-hmm. And he's been a part of every single thing, every pool that I've created. He's a part of it. He's even brought in people from his work now. So the Predator has to be a thing. And when we did meet him at the 25th anniversary, and I don't know if that's the first time, but we both agreed this has to be it. He even was commenting on how striking my wife was looking that night. So the Predator was in full bloom, I think. I don't know how he got the nickname, but I think I got an idea. So shout out to the Predator.
Compliment.
Phone number on the jersey.
Shout out. And thanks, Levi, for contributing to that. It's a cause that's near and dear to my heart as well. And I appreciate it, Scotty, for everything you do. And I know I haven't seen him tonight, but last week he did tune in from back east. So shout out to you, Levi. Before I do my shout out, though, Dr. Poulos, who I don't question ever, has said that Sammy's got a birthday here in about 40 minutes. And we might have missed that. So Sammy Yeager, legends, whatever you got left, let's raise a glass to Sammy Yeager. Happy birthday. You are a legend.
Hey.
Yikes. Didn't have him in my calendar, but I'm adding him now.
Yeah, you should add him right now.
Mm-hmm.
You are almost axed as the executive producer, but no.
Yeah, rightfully so.
My shout out goes to an LWO member who's been around for a long time and eagerly awaiting to join the Legends when he turns 35. But a guy who recently in the last 24 to 48 hours has gone through a bit of personal tragedy. It's the Jer Bear. Jer, I understand his dad was involved in a motor vehicle accident and was hurt pretty bad, but is going to be okay. But Jer has gone up island to take care of his dad for the foreseeable future. And I'd like to give a big shout out to Jer. I know usually he's on the chat. He's been involved in previous episodes, but you sir are a legend. So shout out to you, my friend. Whatever I've got left here.
I'm at the bottom of the glass here.
Yeah, we're running on empty here, boys.
Kept it tight though. Hey, Holla?
We did.
I think we had a
shorter than I thought. Sure, I thought 3 hours, but
for those of you who didn't know, T Money texted me today and he wanted to know the over under on 2 hours. And I said for sure we're going over.
I can honestly say I thought there's no chance we're going over.
Me too.
Content was there, boys. The content
for all you listeners.
Yeah.
Quick final shout out to both Holla and Scotty. Thank you, gentlemen, for moderating and all the background work and Koski. Such a pleasure to be involved with such a group of legends. So to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, totally.
Thanks, boys.
That's cool. It's all Holla and Troy, and I just show up. I don't know why I'm here, so thank you guys.
If anybody's made it to the end, they should let us know, and we should give them some sort of prize.
Yeah, is there anybody left? Is there anybody watching anymore?
I think our high point was about 25 live viewers. We're down to 16.
That's a lot of hand jobs.
Still there. Against my better judgment, I
got 2 hands.
Guys, that was a marathon, but you know what? Just a solid episode. And when the content is there, the content is there. Oh, shout out to Shaw too. Thank you for staying with us.
Also, she was the filmer of the drumline video, right, Rimek?
Absolutely.
Shaw's watching right now.
Shaw sent that to me. That was amazing.
She was like in law school. Shaw was lovely and putting up with our whatever legendariness
stuff.
Yeah. Big hugs to Shaw.
Let's be honest. Okay, go ahead.
Here's the deal, boys. I've got nothing else to do but to thank my guests. So I'm going to go to you, Britchy. Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been a legend. And listen, I hope this boosts the traffic to your Christian Mingle site.
You know what? I was hitting 6 to 8 hits every 19 months. And now I think we could double that. We could literally double that. So
I didn't even know you're on there. So see you in a bit.
All right.
I love it.
No, I don't have the priest option on, Scotty. Sorry.
Koski, thank you for dropping in, not only for your hockey content, but I think everyone will agree that the new Legends anthem is a winner. Thanks, Koski.
That's a walkout for sure. That's just like a wrestling intro in the future.
Thank you, Scotty, for that, by the way.
Wonderful stuff. T-Money, it's always a pleasure to have you on board, whether you're in front of the camera or behind the camera, whether you're dealing with screaming kids in the background or not. Another great show with you, T-Money. Thank you for joining us.
Tons of fun, brothers. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'll pay for it tomorrow, but thank you for tonight.
Thanks for leaving. You're the glue behind this, buddy. Thank you.
He is.
Absolutely.
The T is the
And Scotty, you and me, we've been through every episode together so far. Just 2 more episodes to go. And then we can retire and bask in our glory. Thank you for being on.
No, thank you, buddy. And I'm running out of reasons to drink. So come up with something new, buddy.
I don't work with reasons. I just drink.
All right.
Anyways, I thank the guests. We've done our shout outs. We've done the entire show, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us in the chat, boys. It's been great. It's been great to see you all involved. Thank you very much. You know it. And stay legendary.